once that happened, I felt like they could have done this. But again, it's hard to know what they've been doing.
I think there's two. This is just a negotiation side topic. Not sometimes people experience these things. I don't know, but some people view the negotiation as we have to exchange 6 offers to get to it, and some people are like, let's cut the BS. Let's get it done. Like, we know what, like, let's just give you what's fair versus, like, winning the negotiation.
Right.
It feels like a lot of times they do want to win the negotiation. Yeah. Again, we don't know.
Yeah.
There's just a couple different ways to look at it.
Yeah, especially when you think about the Cowboys trying to win this negotiation and then have 6 more, including 2 big ones. When you think of it like,
it's long and drawn out for each
it's
one.
Like a car, like buying a car. You know what I mean? And then the guy's like, we got to get this deal done, and we'll sell them at this rate. But that means these cars we got to sell over here. Which as if you're buying the car, it's just you. So for CD, it's like, this is really what I care about. It's right here. Cowboys do have to think of it long term and stretch it out with all the other guys they got.
But if you do it too early, there's a downside of doing it too early, right? That's the player wants a new deal quicker.
Yep.
And they're gonna hold out or whatever. Like, isn't that the flip side?
Yeah,
of it?
exactly. I mean, and that's why I think you keep hearing there's just 2 instead of 3 contracts, because Micah Parsons, I don't feel like that's a real thing. Like, I don't think that there's any negotiating going on right now with Micah.
Also noticed you paying attention up front to Hoffman and BB yesterday.
Yeah, BB's struggling right now with these snaps, and the center. He's never played it, and it's Hoffman. I had a hard time thinking that he was going to let this one go, but quiet as kept. Dakota Shepley just kind of. I think that's actually a closer battle. I'm not saying he's going to win the starting job, but I think when we thought it was going to be BB versus Hoffman, I think Shepley is way further along and closer to Hoffman than BB is.
But that is Hoffman's job. I think everybody feels like right now, right? Like that one doesn't feel like much of a competition, especially because Mike Solari loves him.
Yeah, and but he's known to change his mind, because I heard he didn't. I heard after the combine, I heard he was like, nah, I don't know about this Guyton guy. and then they ended up, obviously drafting him. But the thing is, and I asked Dak this question after one of the OTA or the minicamp press conference he did. And I said, is that a competition that needs to be settled sooner than later? Like, you get to camp, you need to know who your center is, right? You need the continuity of the whole line. And he actually was like, not really, because we have to play with all these guys. There's going to be time I have to play with him. We're going to have to play with him and all that. So I guess they don't look at it that way. But I still feel like when they get everybody together and huddle up and all that, your center, you can't just be moving it back every day. So I think sooner than later that they'll decide. And you're right. It seems like it's Hoffman's.
Great stuff as always,
all
boss. Right. Thank you for changing up the schedule. We'll see you at practice.
All right. See you guys.
Nick Eatman, avoiding the skunks like everybody else out here from DallasCowboys.com, brought to you by the WinStar World Casino and Resort. Proud to be the casino of the Dallas Cowboys. Please game responsibly. Should the Texas Rangers have bought more? Let's recap the deadline with Brett Boone, Odyssey Baseball Insider, next. But Sean Sharif here for better help.
Uber Eats has Lola Fee products? I gotta remember that.
Well, they say in order to remember something, you have to forget something else. Okay, now that is a very cute haircut. That's like a little shag. I've never seen it before. Well, of course you have. It's the Rachel. Oh, is that your name? No, like your name. No, I'm
CarsForKids.org, and also brought to you by the personal injury lawyers Frankel and Frankel. If you've been injured in a car or truck wreck, call Frankel first, 214 or 817-333-3333. With Frankel and Frankel, there is never an out-of-pocket cost. They only get paid when you win. Frankel and Frankel, the go-to car and truck wreck attorneys in Dallas.
He's been so good for us throughout the baseball season. We had to keep him even while we were out here in Oxnard, California for Cowboys training camp. We're joined by Brett Boone, host of the Brett Boone Podcast, an Odyssey original featuring the most notable names in baseball and all-around sports every week. And he's even joining us on the Fan Cam, Twitch, and YouTube. Good morning, Brett. How are you, sir?
Good. How you doing? I'm in Hawaii, so it's 4:20 in the morning.
Whoa!
I'm just dedicated.
Look at this background. It looks like he's look at that. He's in a hut. What is that behind you?
Well, it's a cabana. The ocean's behind me, so my wife's sleeping. So I went out here onto the I don't know, what do we call it? The lanai, the porch, whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
Pretty cool place. Pretty cool place. A little hidden gem in Kona.
Wow, the man didn't even take off. A 3-hour time difference from out here in California.
That's
during the MLB Trade Deadline. Brett, we're kind of split here on the show. Bobby is upset that the Rangers did not sell more because he does not believe in them winning anything of consequence this year. Choppy wanted them to stay around because no one wants to face DeGrom and Eovaldi. How do you feel about where the Rangers are now?
I'm kind of split. Been somebody out there adding, but I wouldn't. I would have done it kind of what they did. They kind of stood pat, and didn't go out and make any real moves. You moved Lorenzen, but you had the luxury of doing that because you have so much starting pitching with the hopes that DeGrom is coming back. You're right. DeGrom, Eovaldi, occasionally I think you can get that type of start from a Scherzer, obviously not last night. But I don't know. I watched this division. I watched the Seattle Mariners. Who knows what they're doing? They made some trades at the deadline that maybe will add a little life to that clubhouse. The fact that they actually went out and did something. Houston, the team that's been dominant in that division. But I just look at this division. The Rangers are 7 out in the wild card. So their path, if they get back to the postseason, is going to be through that division. A lot of what ifs for the Texas Rangers. Jung is back now. You got Melee coming back. Recently, you got Bradford, Dunning. So Lorenzen, like I said, was expendable. You let him go. But the key for me, and I think a couple weeks ago, last time I was on the show, I told you, it's got to be a DeGrom. It's got to be a healthy DeGrom. It's got to be the DeGrom, Eovaldi, Scherzer type threesome that just rattles off. And they go on a really good run this second half. But you look at that division. I mean, it's up for grabs. It seems like nobody wants it. Seattle was up 10 games 5 weeks ago. They came all the way back and ended up being a game to Houston. Now they're atop the division again. Texas only 4.5 out. So I can't really complain about this line. I don't see him out there buying, to add to this team. But at the same time, I don't see him selling off too much. You still got an opportunity. 4.5 out. That's not that much. I think we've seen in this division what a lead really means. It's not that big a deal. First time in a long time, this division's been very vulnerable.
Brett, I think I know your answer to this, but I want to ask it anyway, being a former player. Were there times when you knew, like the Rangers are 3.5 out, but like at no point in time this year have we felt that they're a true legitimate threat? So do you act, if you're Chris Young, from the player mindset of, yo, man, 3.5, we're in this? Or do you act from the GM mindset of, we know, you have teams in sports whose record is better and worse than they actually are? Or do you act from that GM mindset of, look, we know deep down we're not good enough to win the championship, so we don't need to be major buyers? Did you ever recognize as a player, we're we're not as good as our record this year. We know we're overachieving, like, statistically.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, I think you have to be a realist at the end of the day. A lot of times as players, though, it's tough to live in reality. You always want to think you have a chance. Chris Young has got a player's mentality. He always wants to think he's got a chance. He's got Bruce Bochy in that dugout. And he's got a team, pretty much the majority of this team that's been put together were world champions a year ago. So the last 2 months of the season, his hopes are, who knows, if these guys can get it going, reclaim that magic of a year ago, they could make a run and win. I don't put it out of the realm of possibility. And like I said, it's a DeGrom. If DeGrom comes back, that changes the whole formula. And he's DeGrom that we're used to seeing, that dominant number one starter. So I think he's just kind of sitting up there in the GM box going, let's see what happens here. And let's see how bad Houston and Seattle, or how mediocre Houston and Seattle continue to play. And this division, out of all the divisions in baseball, I think this division is still the most vulnerable because you just don't know what you've got. You look at Houston, it's like, what is Houston doing, really? You know, they added Kikuchi. Is that going to be a big deal? Verlander's been out with that neck injury for a long time. You still have Valdez, Brown, Blanco, not proven entities, but have had decent years. I don't know. Houston's vulnerable, too. I just look at this division, and nobody's out of it, you know, with the exception of the Angels in Oakland. But it's going to be a three-team fight, and I just wouldn't give up at this point if I'm the Texas Rangers, especially coming off a world championship. These guys know what it's like to be facing adversity. And if anybody can do it, these guys can do it. Like I said, 4.5 out. It's not that big of a deal. This season isn't over, but a lot is – everything's got to go right for these Texas Rangers to make another run. But I wouldn't quit at this point. I was surprised to see a team like Tampa Bay at the trading deadline. They pretty much traded their entire team, and they're 3.5 out in a wild card race. But that seems to be what Tampa Bay does. They recalibrate, they reset their roster on a year in and year out basis, and usually find their way to the postseason. Not that exciting of a trade deadline. No huge names, the Scoobles, the Crochets of the world. They didn't go anywhere. Vladimir Guerrero was probably the one. I was surprised that the Blue Jays didn't sell more than they did. That starting rotation with a Gosmus, a Barrios, they didn't move any of those guys. A Bassett. They ended up moving Kikuchi, a couple small deals. They made a trade with the Mariners for Garcia and a bullpen relief. But it was interesting to see. None of the real big names out on the market really went. So a little bit of a dud trading deadline. Nevertheless, there was a lot of action with good, solid players. So it'll be interesting with this new formula, with this new postseason, moving the trade deadline back, giving them 2 months when they got to make that deal. It's a different dynamic in Major League Baseball.
Honesty Insider Brett Boone joined us here at 105 through the Fan. If you were to choose what you would rather have in a playoff series, would you rather have like the top offense and like a mediocre starting pitching, or would you rather have like two tremendous frontline guys in the rotation and then it's like a league average offense?
Well, I think how this game is played has changed. In my day, without a doubt, I'm taking starting pitching all day long. Going back to, I'm dating myself here, but go back to like an 0-1 scenario where it was Randy Johnson and Curt Schilling on a Diamondbacks team that basically carried them through the postseason. They were both going on 3 days rest, and they just dominated and steamrolled through the postseason. Today's a little bit different. They play the bullpen game. The power bullpens tend to have the chance in the postseason. But for me, at the end of the day, if you're going to make me choose between offense and pitching, I'm always going to take the pitching. Because someday, if you have that dominant pitcher that goes out there and offense out there and you win a ball game, if you've got a mediocre pitching, that's going to get crushed. You're never going to have a chance to win. So I'll always take the pitching before the offense.
So, Brett, here's my contention. Here's my issue. We talk a lot, and this is the line that everybody's given, similar to the one that you talked about, where it's like, they're only 3 to 4 games out of the AL West. To me, the question is not the AL West. The question is, can you contend in the AL? Can you contend for a World Series? I don't think that we've seen an offense that can contend for a World Series this year. So to me, the way I looked at yesterday was they sacrificed an opportunity to contend in a stronger way in 2025 in the name of potentially just winning a division title. Is that too strong of a reaction for me?
Well, the reason now in yesteryear, yeah, I would go with your theory. I've just watched now the game the way it is, and for me, more entertaining, keeps a lot of more cities involved, a lot more playoff spots, a lot more seats at the table in 2024. But I think it's been easier. Well, I know it's easier than it's ever been to get to the postseason, but to get through the postseason and to win a World Series, I think it's tougher than it's ever been, just because of the landmines you got to go through. You know, if you barely get into the postseason, you got to go through 4 series. I think a year ago, I don't think a year ago going to the postseason, if you told me it was going to be the Texas Rangers and the Arizona Diamondbacks, I would have told you you're crazy and there's no chance because they're not even close to the 2 best teams. Well, next thing you know, the Texas Rangers win the World Series. That surprised the heck out of me. The fact that the Arizona Diamondbacks even got there would surprise me even more. I think if you look at the Vegas odds a year ago going to the postseason, they wouldn't have been very good for the outcome. I think the Dodgers teams of recent times that have won 111, 106 games, getting bounced in the first round. It's a different climate now than it is in 2024. You've just got to get to the postseason. Years ago, usually that marathon meant a lot more. You got to the postseason because you were the best team, and usually the best teams got to the World Series, and most of the time the best team won the World Series. I don't think that's the case now. I think you just got to get in at all costs, and you got a chance. Get hot at the right time, get some pitchers rolling at the right time, the offense rolling at the right time, and you've got the parts here. Yeah, this offense isn't even close to what it was a year ago, but you still got the names. You still got the Simeons, the Seagers, the Garcias, who seem to have a flair for the dramatic when they get on the big stage. So I think in this stage of the game, this time in history, just getting a seat at the table always gives you a chance. And I think that's what Chris Young, Bruce Bochy, the inner workings, the upper management, that's what they're thinking. Just get us a seat at the table, and who knows what can happen.
Is Hawaii worth the hype?
I'm not really a vacation guy. I do it for my wife. You know, this is nice for her. I like it. It's relaxing. You know, I'm not going to act like this spoiled brat. I'm in a beautiful place, a beautiful climate, but I find myself chomping at the bit. Like, all right, when are we going home? So I'm going home in a couple days. I get a little restless. I can only do so much beach time. You know, I like the golf, but I got no buddies here with me. It's a couple's trip. So I'm not going to go play golf by myself and be that Boone solo. Yes. Can I join threesome? No, I'm not into that either. So I'm kind of, I'm smiling. I'm having some nice meals. I'm getting up at 4 a.m. doing some call-in shows. But other than that, I'll be don't tell anybody. I'll be ready to get home in a couple of days.
You're a beast for joining us out there with a 3-hour difference. Odyssey Baseball is there. Thank you, man. Enjoy the rest of the vacay for your wife's sake. Brett Boone here on 105.3 The Fan. He had his little circle spotlight. What do they call that? The little light?
Ring light.
Ring light, yep.
The ring light.
Those are great.
He set up traveling like a professional, and he was on the Uber One fan camp, getting it done even while on vacation in Hawaii on the couple's trip. Let's get it done with Crosstalk with the KMC Masterpiece next on Sean and RJ. But we're talking
Haircut, but that's hair on your head. I'm not saying this is your hair. Okay, freaking me out a little bit.
Do you think it's true that you've got to forget something else to remember that Uber Eats has groceries?
No, that's absurd. Hey, remember when you used to be a pepper lady? Pepper lady?
Wasn't it Cinnamon Sisters?
Basil Babes.
Saffron Squad?
Nutmeg Megans?
Paprika?
No.
Nutmeg Maple.
I just said that. Was it Spice Girls?
Doesn't sound right.
Was it Saffron Squad?
Silverados than anyone else. This is Texas. This is Classic Chevrolet. Together, let's drive, relax, enjoy the difference based on new Chevrolet registrations 2023.
Hit it, Rubes.
Yeah! I feel like we need to throw a seizure warning up on the fan cam if we're going to keep doing this.
Oh, my gosh. Bobby, I'm actually glad he said that. I need to have a conversation. This is serious, all right? This is a serious moment. I have a group of friends that I've known since like middle school. Some of them go back to elementary school. Some of them collect in high school. We are tight, all right? So when I don't have a best friend, but I have many best friends, if you know what I mean, like a group of friends. We're really tight. Yesterday, one of my best friends had a seizure while he was driving on George Bush and pulled off the highway. And as he was like around Garland Road, pulls off the highway as he's getting towards like the place, a gas station. He runs into a pole. Pole falls, crushes the top of his truck, cracks his head open, and we were supposed to go to his birthday party on Saturday and do our fantasy draft order, and I just don't know if we're going to actually get that done this weekend. So that's really frustrating that we can't get the fantasy order done.
And you guys are jacking around with lights over here.
You're worried about the fantasy draft order?
He'd have loved that joke, all right? He's actually probably laughing his balls off right now.
Man.
Yeah, that's jokes. My friend. I can make jokes like that about him, all right?
In my
he's doing okay though. He's just got a big old gash on his head. So, but Ryan, we love you, buddy.
In my 14 years of doing this, I have never had a commercial break like we just had, followed by
that was a hard turn.
That was a hard It was hard damn turn, Corey.
I was just thinking, don't turn the power off because the power's already gone off 3 times during our show. But then Corey took it in a different direction.
You want to just put all the names in the hat and let him shake.
Oh, man. I'm telling you, he's laughing right now.
Listen, ears out. I sat
he's
on my
laughing.
joke.
It's a good joke.
And like I kind of have a little bit of I have an understanding of epilepsy and seizure, so we've been through it just a little bit.
Of course, I can make those jokes.
Yeah, I can make those jokes.
Do you think this is a bad sign for our show if this is how we're starting off?
It's going to be all right.
I think it's a really bad sign when you throw it to Mike Bassick for stability. And let's throw out something conservative. Hello, Mikey. How are you?
Part of that,
definitely conservative.
Part of that.
Good, man. How's it going?
You don't look too excited.
Oh, just working my tail off, you know?
You're all dressed up for TV today?
Yep.
Working your tail off until what time on this show?
1 hour.
11.
Oh.
Yeah, 1 hour show?
No, he is not going to be on the show for 1 hour.
Yeah.
And you guys are 2.5?
Yes.
Yeah, we have Al Harris joining us at noon today.
Oh.
We say Al.
Al Harris. He's kind of been since he got here the unicorn, the white buffalo. I've been always trying to get him because I think he's a great communicator. Much like Reagan.
Yeah.
Politics.
Wow.
and I'm just very interested in the approach this year with the secondary. So.
All right, who wants to summarize the pop culture explosion that happened with all the arguments in that commercial break?
I just want to also point out, Sean,
What do you got? What do you got? A heart attack next for us?
No,
we got leukemia.
No, but it is his birthday today, so happy birthday also to Ryan.
Someone paralyzed.
What Kevin was doing to you during your spot,
Trying to
Mike
distract
does to us every single commercial spot we have. Mike, you'll say, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And Mike's like, "I don't know yet. Let me hear more about it." And you're just like, "Oh, it's really funny."
I thought my reactions were on the right spot though, because you go in months, not years. And better than
Bobby, who's showing me photos of anime porn while I'm trying to do commercials.
Man, he showed me these other photos that are going to scar all my future interactions with
What happened to
particular.
Bobby? Where's Bobby at?
He's here.
He forgot his computer today.
Wow.
Forgot his computer, so no fan cam for Bobby.
I wish I had a computer. I wish I had a computer career. Could you help me with that, Sean?
Here, you can use. I'll get you.
I wish you had a computer career too. Really, but it all started with Bryan Adams.
Yes. It's All for Love. We were talking about the song All for Love, and I don't know that there's ever been a raspier. Why did we start with Bryan Adams?
Because I caught a marker. Have you guys gotten any autographs on the ball for us yet this year? Because we're trying to get this as a station
overshown
football autograph. So we haven't gotten Zach. We haven't gotten Zach Martin. We haven't gotten. All right, so we're working on it.
Take it out to the field today.
That's great. Yeah, that's a great option, Mike. I appreciate that.
Walk around as they're doing drills. Be like, hey, guys.
But he threw the ball. I caught it, and Carter was like, where'd you learn that? At Bryan Adams? Because that's where I went to high school. And so that's how we got on Bryan Adams.
And then we said Bryan Adams was a terrible musical artist. Or I did. I owned that. And then it got me thinking about the song All for Love, which is Rod Stewart, Bryan Adams, and Sting, and maybe the raspiest possible trio you would ever put on a song together.
And that is from the movie Robin Hood, I believe, which then...
We're men in tights.
Not that one.
Yes!
And it fired up a conversation about Kevin Costner, at which point RJ and Bobby started arguing about Kevin Costner, and Bobby defiantly said, but what about the directing? And RJ's like, oh, that was terrible. That was Kevin Costner.
I don't care.
And then we pointed out
he
that
could be a bad director.
He won Best Director for that movie.
I don't care. All I care about is his acting.
Yeah.
All right. Good in Field of Dreams. Good in Tin Cup. Good in Bull Durham.
I agree
good
with
for
you.
Love of the Game.
Was not good in Field of Dreams.
How do you say that?
Because he wasn't. Hey, Dad, you want to have a cat?
It's the greatest line in sports history.
No, it was weak.
Okay.
It was weak. When there's comedy elements to it,
if you could produce a male heir, you would have a cat with your child.
If there's comedy elements to it, Costner is good. If there's not, it's not a very good performance.
Yeah, Waterworld,
exactly.
Lots of comedy.
Exactly.
Postman was poor. It was a bad movie. That was when he said no more directing.
Did that end all the pop culture arguments? Is that where we left off?
Anything else?
There may have been a couple others sprinkled it. Like I said, the anime, whatever I was showing him on my phone.
Okay, and you guys were singing songs as well. Was
yeah. What were we singing? We're singing an Adele song. Rumor has it.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And Corey?
Oh yeah, we were singing. Are you trying to get me to sing All for One?
You're a great singer.
Let's make it all All for one and one for all. That was how the Rod Stewart. It was Rod Stewart and Bryan Adams and some other random.
What else?
No, it wasn't like that.
Sean, what else do you know pop culture-wise about Rod Stewart?
Not much.
Have you ever heard anything about him?
Not much.
Where are you trying?
Stop with this.
I get him and Eric Clapton confused.
Text in.
I don't think anybody gets those two.
Text in
if you know.
Heard anything.
Or you can
a mail air.
You know what? You can do it on the Tolo phone, and then Sean will play them tomorrow morning.
All right, back.
No.
Back to the conservative. What happened?
Oh, he made a. That was good. I mean, I as a very dark humor guy, I appreciate that one. But I oh no.
Did you do the dark roast? I missed it.
Yeah,
Mike, did the Rangers do enough for you during the deadline? Your deadline thoughts?
Yeah, I honestly liked what they did. They now have, I think, 4 guys they can go to through the 6th through 9th inning that I really like, and Spores is kind of the 5th now. So if you can have a lead, if this team could ever hit a baseball consistently, last night they get shut out by 88 to 93 miles an hour 90% of the time. I mean, Lance Lynn, he does what he does. His stuff has come down with age. He doesn't throw the balls hard anymore. He still throws 88% fastballs. I mean, the cutter for him is a cut fastball. So I combine that with his 2-seam and 4-seam. And it didn't matter. The Rangers still couldn't hit. There's nothing they could do to hit a baseball yesterday. But if you have a lead now after 5, and I just look at it and go, all right, after 5 innings, you have a lead. Now let's just say your pitcher is getting spent and he's tired. You have Spores, Leclerc, Chafin, Robertson, and Yates. You have 5 guys to get you to the W. And those are 5 guys that can put up zeros pretty consistently, especially in Leclerc's role now as a 6th, 7th inning guy. And Spores, you have to hope that, he can do that. But if not, you do have now a really good left-handed reliever in the role of pitching the 6th through the 9th inning. But they have to hit. If they can't hit, it doesn't matter.
How do they find that, Mike? How do they, find the bats again after all this season of not really having it?
The tough thing is it would be tough to say they will. After 4 months, it would be really tough to say, hey, they're just going to wake up and they're going to hit like it's 2023. Yeah. Like today, one of my keys to the game is 8 is enough. You have to score 8 because you have to average 5 runs a game. Last year, you averaged 5.46. If they're going to make the playoffs, they have to average 5 runs a game. They scored 6 in game 1. They scored 1 yesterday. That means there's 8 runs available today. Score 8 runs today. If they can't score 5 runs a game in a 3-game series, if they can't score 15 runs, then they're not going to make the playoffs. And the thing is I was thinking about this, Bobby, again, because I know you're just talking to
Brett Boone.
Brett Boone is this might be it for the Rangers. Financially, this might be it to make a run. They might have to cut $20 to $50 million off of their budget next year. So looking at the future, I don't know what the future holds for the Rangers because budget-wise, they might not be able to go after this for a while.
But if that's the case, don't you try to rebuild with cheap talent now that you can acquire with expiring veterans?
So if you do that, Bochy probably walks at the end of the year and says, if we are going into rebuild mode, then I don't want to manage anymore. I came back to manage to win. I was shocked that he thought the Rangers were a winner when he signed with the Rangers, but he actually won the freaking championship. But if you do go into rebuilding, it goes into a weird place for your organization.
And this is all happening because of the TV deal, Mike?
I think part of it is yes.
Mike's fault. Okay.
Taking up all
those problems existed long before that.
And
all right, we're back.
It's weird that they've changed their course. I will say it's weird that they've possibly changed their course on after the 2021 season. We're going all in, and then they won, and I'm not sure if they really want to keep going all in. It's weird. They won, so I guess they got the goal was achieved.
We have Carter. We have fan cam. Why don't we just broadcast the games for them? We're already broadcasting the radio. We can do the TV stuff. No, we can't pay the TV deal.
Yeah, then you guys could actually be on for more than 3 hours for once.
turn to come on.
Yeah.
Back with Mike McCarthy tomorrow. McCarthy will join us. Seizure alert! Seizure alert! The KMC masterpiece is next on the Fan.
O'Reilly Mazda of Arlington and her studios. It's the KNC Masterpiece on 105.3 The Fan.
KNC Masterpiece right here on 105.3 The Fan. We are live in Oxnard at Dallas Cowboys training camp, courtesy of Corey's Hat, also known as Sagamore Spirit Rye Whiskey, Best Buy Windows and Siding, and Guardian Caps will be going until 12:30 today, leading into the Rangers. Got Al Harris coming up at noon. We promised a surprise Cowboys interview. It will happen in this segment. But it's only been one padded practice, but several trends and players are starting to emerge when you factor in all of the non-padded practice, which honestly there is a lot of out here. And we will have our interview a little bit later in the segment. Corey, do you want to start with Mozzie Smith, Nahshon Wright, somebody totally different?
Kevin, we might have Bochy here at 10:20 or 10:40, so I'll get back to you in just a second on that.
Okay.
But, yeah, man, yesterday I was kind of keying in on a couple of different things. One was Tyler Guyton. Do we have any more conversation on him that we need to dive into?
Let's do it.
Guyton was a point of you wanted to see him physically line up against somebody else with pads on, try and hit somebody. And, Kevin, yesterday we got multiple times where we got to see him against the rookie Nealand, but we also got to see him against Micah Parsons.
Yes.
Now, there is one thing I want everybody to take a grain of salt with here, all right?
Okay.
He was really, really good against Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons could not just beat him with speed yesterday, which Mike can attest to. Last year during practice and even the year before, nobody could stop Micah, and it was like he's just wrecking practice most of the day. So what I was seeing yesterday was, hey, man, this dude has good footwork. I think Carter and I both saw a couple times where he may have slipped a little bit or been kind of pushed out of position, but physically he looked really good. Micah didn't have the size to push him around at all. But I will also add this. I didn't see a single move from Micah. I saw Micah speed rushing, pass rushing, but he was not doing any swim moves. He wasn't spinning. He wasn't doing any rips. He just was saying, I'm going one-on-one with you, and we're just going to push this through. The other thing, though, that I really like, so yes, I liked watching Tyler Guyton yesterday. Let's see if he has another practice paired with a really good practice. And then can he do it again and again and again and again? The consistency is what we're looking for from him very early in this stage of his career.
Every time they move him away from the ones, I get sad. Like, I understand Chuma Edoga and veteran deference, and you still need to get him ready because you might need him. But every time they would move Tyler Guyton off the ones, I was like, oh, man, this is not what I want to see. So I did appreciate how much time he got with the ones and how much fun it was to see, especially after last year. I know we were all hyped up about Overshown before he got hurt, and now we're all hyped up about him all over again. But the rookie class didn't really give you a whole lot. So to see that hopefully your first pick will be at left tackle. Maybe he can be excellent at left tackle. That is encouraging for me. I wanted to talk about, let's stay with the good.
Okay.
We'll get to the maybe the not great in a second.
Man, there was some good stuff yesterday.
There was. But there is just one alarming thing that continues to not develop like you might want. But Nahshon Wright, he was around the ball a lot yesterday. And Trayvon Diggs, when Mike McCarthy said yesterday, we're going to be conservative with him, he definitely was not in pads yesterday. For good reason. That feels tough to be like, hey, you're good to go. Get on out there. So Nahshon Wright was around a lot. He was getting to the ball, especially in one-on-one drills. And he had, I thought it was 2 interceptions that he almost had in his hands and couldn't hold on to them. But he was still there to break up the pass. Like, I realize you want to finish that play and, like, stay in bounds or hold on to the ball.
We've seen many Nahshon Wright plays where you were like, what just happened, dude?
Yeah. But he was around the ball a lot, and I thought that was encouraging. I mean, you can argue every position in football, but cornerback, defensive line, offensive line, those are always spots where I'll be like, I will take as much freaking depth and talent as you can give us.
Yeah, and that's when we talk with Al Harris today around noon o'clock. That's going to be one of those conversations of, man, like Eric Scott out there made a really good play. You know what he was mad about, Kevin? He was mad about the fact that he didn't get the interception. He got one hand on the ball, fingertips.
That's pass
and he was
breakup,
still
yeah.
like, dang, I should have had an interception there. And so I love that, and I want to talk a little more about that kind of mindset, because I do wonder, was that the mindset of Dan Quinn's defense, or was that the mindset of Al Harris's secondary? One of the other things that I was keying in on a lot yesterday was Micah at linebacker.
Okay.
Because there were a couple times we saw him line up on the edge and go. But then when he's playing linebacker, he looks comfortable in that spot. And, man, when him and Kendricks and Clark were making their chases to running backs in the flats or receivers that got passes or tight ends, it looked natural, dude, and those dudes were flying, and they were gang tackling. And that is something that I'm looking forward to, because Kendricks, he flies into gaps, dude. He is a middle linebacker that I think you're going to enjoy and love this year. We had a great interview with him, but that's the more about his play on the field, and he understands what's going on. He's tapping these dudes. He already has on the butt to let them know where they need to go.
It's good clarification.
He has very good understanding of this defense, and Micah did not look lost playing linebacker. So that's a positive. That's a net positive, too. And, Kevin, I'm not going to lie, dude. I thought Trey Lance.
Yes!
Finally.
He looked way better.
Finally looked like he was having a good camp yesterday. And McCarthy had mentioned yesterday in the press conference that he had him working on the board on his footwork. And so that was right here on 105.3 The Fan. So him working on that footwork, I don't know if that's the end-all, be-all, but he wasn't sailing everything high, dude. He was hitting people dots in the chest yesterday.
And don't you appreciate it when, like...
And Dak looked good, too, all right? Dak looked just like Dak does. He looked really good.
Don't you appreciate it when people are like, no, yeah, I saw the same thing that you did, and it needs to get better. And I realize this is the time of the year where things are getting better. Like, you don't expect, especially younger players or players without a lot of football actual experience in the game, are trying to get better. I thought he looked way better. I appreciate that Mike McCarthy talked about it. Now I'm just going to throw out one thing. It is exceedingly early. Hopefully the fact that we said positive will help make this a little bit easy to handle. Mozzie Smith looks solid in the one-on-ones. But then when we got to the team portion, he still looks slow off the ball.
What is your expectation of Mozzie Smith this year? Like, what do you...
I'm actually going with Micah. He goes, it's not what we want him to be, it's what we need him to be.
And what do they need him to be?
They need him to be somebody that, I realize you'll rotate a lot, but it needs somebody who can essentially be a de facto starting defensive lineman.
And what is that job? Because I think in a Mike Zimmer defense, just listening to Zimmer the other day on Sean and RJ and Bobby and Peyton and everybody else, it sounded more like he's like absorb rather than push up field, but still off the ball. I know what you're saying. I agree with you.
And I'm fine with that because honestly, especially the way you're seeing honest to goodness 3 linebacker sets and you're like, oh, it's a bygone era of football out here. You would like him to absorb at minimum 1, maybe 1.5 to 2 people on the line of scrimmage. You would love to see that because it opens up the opportunity, especially when you run your 3 linebacker set to boom, be much better in terms of run stopping. Or, bottom line, and this is the simplest way, and this is an expectation for pretty much any defensive lineman or offensive lineman, win the line of scrimmage. Because that's something that the slow movement from Mozzie, not necessarily about penetrating the line of scrimmage, but not getting pushed back.
Yeah.
And he needs to be able to win the line of scrimmage on a consistent basis. It's probably unfair that I'm putting it like this, but then all of a sudden you're like, "Ooh, where is that going to come from?"
Yeah, no,
that's not the case.
Yeah, they're going to have to find a body, dude. I mean, because I saw Carl Davis get pushed around a couple times yesterday too. He looked confused by what Tyler Guyton did to him at one point. I was like, "That's not good."
Rich,
you're the veteran body out here.
It's oddly, I don't know, encouraging and discouraging. You're like, that's because Tyler Guyton is badass.
Hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hopefully that's the case.
Now, I got 2 more people for you, and we might have interviewed one of them.
Okay.
Wanye Thomas and T-Billy.
Dude, there are some receivers. I think Jalen Tolbert
yes,
had some really good catches yesterday. Looked like he's in a good form right now. Looks like he's very confident.
Great sponsor with our garage doors.
Yes. No, yeah, Tolbert Garage, absolutely. But there are some receivers that are, like, you can tell they want to make this team, and they are out there doing their thing.
And so we tried to catch up with Tyron Billy Johnson after practice yesterday, affectionately known as T-Billy, and it starts off with, this is where we go directly. He has a sweet Kill Bill chain that he's rocking out there. So take it away, T-Billy.
Back here on 105.3 The Fan, and I wanted to talk about your Kill Bill chain. Is that more associated with your name, or are you a humongous fan of the Quentin Tarantino movies?
No, I'm definitely a big fan of the Kill Bill, Volume 1, Volume 2, whatever. I'm definitely a big fan, but it came with my name, Kill Bill. With the Chargers, I was, my first 5 catches went for 50 yards or more. So I was kind of like the deep threat, Kill Bill, the bomb threat. You see the bomb on top, so that's where it came from.
Do you ever get nervous wearing that kind of stuff, even in a practice?
I mean, I try to tuck it. Most of it, I try not to wear it. Sometimes I forget it on.
Yeah.
But not really.
Yesterday, we talked with Jordan Lewis, and he immediately brought you up as somebody that was, like, standing out and doing things at camp. I know you got to play for yourself and play for the team, but what does it mean to have other people on the teams like, oh, yeah, man, we've seen him. I know what he can do.
It means a lot because that's what I do it for. I do it for my peers, the guys that actually played. That's what it means something to me. Guys that been on the field, guys that got repetition, guys that made a name for themselves. That make me feel good when them guys recognize me.
When you're walking into this kind of receiver room right now, does it feel like there's a lot of opportunity, or does it feel like it's narrow? It's always narrow.
I mean, you always got an opportunity. When you out here, you got on pads, I got on cleats, I got a helmet. You got an opportunity, and that's the way I look at it. So every day, I come out here, I try to take advantage of every rep I get.
Did you feel like a jump up in intensity and overall practice with the pads going on versus, the first 4 or 5 days?
Defensive guys always get rowdy when the pads come on. I mean, this sense, little league, high school, college, when the pads come on, the defense take, it's time to play ball. So, we got to have that same approach because it's a physical game.
There's no chance you walk past Nashawn Wright and you're like, hey, drop that one. Like, he had a pick, man. He had it.
Oh, yeah. I had to turn into a defender. That was a good play by him. But, that's part of being a pro. When the guy got you in a compromised position and he breaking on the ball, now it's your turn to get the ball out and let the play another down.
You're an energy and an attitude guy. I heard you saying that earlier. Is there anybody on the team that, like, you're kind of their go-to hype-up guy and you're like, come on, let's go, it's practice time?
Everybody. I mean, when I instantly brighten up the day, I instantly, get people going. I instantly, like that spark plug to the team. And, if that's what I got to do for us to win, I'm an energizer. Sure.
Is it just energy? Do you tell jokes? Do you bring people candy? How do you hype them up?
It's more about my energy and attitude and an approach, and what I've been through in this league. I got a lot of experience. I experienced being cut. I experienced being promoted. I experienced being demoted. I've been at the top of the league. I've been at the bottom. So, a lot of these cats never experienced that. So when they do experience, I'm the guy they come to. How you handle this? How you handle that? I got cut. And, they don't, they'll be down, two down, or 2 up. So I'm that guy to, I give them a few pointers.
I know people could probably figure it out based on what you were saying, but given those experiences of being cut, being dropped, how bad do you want this?
I mean, you can see it when I'm out there how bad I want it. I mean, this is my life. That's what I do. I'm a ball player. I love the game. I got a lot of respect for the game, and like Ryan Clark said, sometimes the game always love you back. You could, because in 2020. I was the top of the road. I was the top of the, still haven't dropped a pass in an NFL game. But, the new team don't care about all that. They care about what you could do right now. So I have to put that behind me, and I have to put getting cut behind me, and I'll have to just play the day.
Go ahead.
You ever wonder why we don't sing happy birthday to a baby, like a newborn baby? We always sing it after a year, but not happy birthday on their birthday.
Oh, no, that's a good question.
Yeah. It's kind of wild.
Do you have any more brain teasers for me about that?
That's it for today.
Okay, well, we'll try to find you periodically and just tell you weird things like that.
All right, so that's our mission for the rest of training camp is for Corey to come up with these head-scratching questions, and we'll go find T-Billy. He really has, and if you're not familiar with him, Tyron Billy Johnson, he really has been turning some heads here at training camp, and I'm excited to see
Fun
what
personality,
happens with
too.
him. Absolutely. We're the KNC Masterpiece right here on 105.3 The Fan. Coming up next, I do believe we're going to try to talk with Texas Rangers manager Bruce Bochy right here on your home of the Rangers and the Cowboys, 105.3.
Do you think it's true that you've got to forget something else to remember that Uber Eats has groceries?
No, that's absurd. Hey, remember when you used to be a, what was it, Pepper Lady? Pepper Lady?
Wasn't it Cinnamon Sisters?
Basil Babes.
Saffron Squad?
Nutmeg Maidens?
Paprika?
No.
Nutmeg Maidens?
I just said that. Was it Spice Girls?
Doesn't sound right.
Was it Saffron Squad?
This segment of the KNC Masterpiece is brought to you by Cars for Kids. Donate today at carsforkids.org. It's brought to you by Soda and the personal injury lawyers, Frankel & Frankel. If you've been injured in a car or truck wreck, call Frankel first, 214 or 817-333-3333. With Frankel & Frankel, there is never an out-of-pocket cost. They only get paid when you win. Frankel & Frankel with the go-to car and truck wreck attorneys in Dallas.
2-2, the pitch. Swung on and a high drive, well hit. Right center. That one is way back, and that ball is gone. A grand slam for Tommy Pham, and his first at bat back with the Cardinals. He has broken it open. It's 8-1 St. Louis.
Fortunately, that would be the final score as well. So Boch is getting breakfast right now, but he's like, I want to be on the show. We'll talk with him about 20 minutes. So, Mike, we have an option here. We can just talk about the trade deadline, or if you want to dive into baseball nuggets, both are options. What do you prefer?
Yeah, let's do that through baseball nuggets.
Let's go!
All right, so I'm going to start off with the bad news yesterday from Chris Young. Evan Carter's season is over. His back is not right. They're hoping that his back can get right. I do think that this is scary. We've talked about it, but now we get it official. His back was jacked up early on in the year. His back was jacked up when he was 18 years old, and he was able to overcome it and then play till he was 21 years old. Yeah. And now at the end of 21 years old, he turns 22 here pretty soon. You're now worried about a back injury that took him out for another season. So from the age of 18 to 21, he's had 2 seasons that have been cut way short because of his back.
And to go along with that, one of the things, and I might just be misreading it, is that they said it's not like an eminent procedure or anything. Their just takeaway was he needs to rest. And that just felt kind of even oddly scarier to me.
It is scary at his age.
You remember when we watched Romo walking up the stairs out here that year, Kevin?
Yeah.
And I was like, that looks bad.
It was
and
tough.
the back doctor I was talking to at the time was like, I'd take a whole year off and just let him rest his back so he can get right.
The thing is I did see last week, Evan Carter was flying around the bases. He does not look hurt. At least he didn't look hurt running. What hurts him is, from what we understand, is swinging a bat. The torque of the rotation of swinging the bat is something that his back cannot handle right now. And so they're like, yeah, he can run and he can do a lot of things, but as soon as we do the twisting motion of violently swinging a baseball bat, it hurts him to the point that he can't do it.
Is your kind of mindset, just you personally, Mike, are you going to be thinking, okay, hopefully he gets rest and we'll see how it goes, or are you going to now approach Evan Carter as like, God, I hope he's healthy every year?
Yeah, both. I know that you're asking a do or die question there, but if you're Chris Young, because I don't know, if you're Chris Young in this offseason, I do think, look, the way this offense is going, I think there could be major changes in your outfield.
Yeah.
And I think that there has to be major questions on if Leote's on the team anymore.
Yep.
And then I think there has to be major questions on what do we do with Adolis Garcia. He has Adolis and Leote have 2 months to change that. But right now, I think that Wyatt Langford's your only known in the outfield next year.
Wow.
And so if you have Evan Carter, then you go, well, our plan was going into the 2023 season that he's going to be our 2024 or 25 everyday center fielder. But can you count on that now?
I would love to say yes, but what's that based on?
Right. Yeah. And then you don't have any money in the offseason from what I understand. So you can't go out like if you wanted to trade for Luis Robert, and I know he's had a disappointing 2024. He's been a guy that's dealt with injuries too throughout his career. So do you go out and make a trade with a team trying to rebuild and go get their stud center fielder, but he's also hurt and having a bad year in 24? But then if you go get him and Evan Carter's fine, you're in a tough situation right now unless Leote Taveras and Adolis Garcia kick absolute butt, and then just you become Evan Carter's just a luxury in the offseason.
Yeah.
But right now, I'll get to now. 4 hits?
Yeah.
Dude, I'm watching that game. Lance Lynn is 37 years old, throwing the ball 88 to 93 almost every pitch, and we got a solo home run. That was it. We got a solo home run from Wyatt Langford. We got a single in that inning from Josh Young. So that's a positive. Josh Young's at-bats look solid. It doesn't mean every at-bat's going to look solid. And I know he ended up flying out a couple times to right field, into center field. But he looked like Josh Young. But that being said, so you got a home run in the second inning. You got a single from Josh Young in the second inning. And I remember in the ninth inning, you got a single from Adolis Garcia. I can't even remember the other hit.
I think Nate Lowe got one.
Oh, and Nate Lowe got a hit.
Yeah.
So that's your game. That's the whole game. If that's the case, you're going to lose 85 to 90 games. Yeah. I hate saying that, but figure it out, man. You didn't face Paul Skeens yesterday.
Yeah, I was just about to ask. I mean, Lance Lynn, we've seen him be a Bulldog before and pitch well and locations well. Was that it, or was they just up there swinging like crazy out yesterday?
They just couldn't hit.
Oh, man.
There's everybody makes mistakes. I will say this. If you're facing Tarek Skubal or you're facing Paul Skeens, or, name like the 5 best pitchers in the game. You're facing Corbin Burns. I'll be like, I get it, man.
Yeah.
Nobody really hits these guys.
But we make all pitchers look like that pitcher.
Lance Lynn had a 4.17 ERA coming into this game, which means you should have, in his 5 innings of work, scored 2 runs, if not 3. And if you're going to turn this thing around, you feast on Lance Lynn's. You feast on today. You got lucky today, by the way. They took Sonny Gray out of the rotation, and I think this. One, we can talk to Bochy about this. It's going to be 98 degrees with a humidity of 1,000 degrees.
Gross.
So they are like, look, this day game is going to be miserable. The other thing too is tomorrow the Chicago Cubs are playing the St. Louis Cardinals. That to them looks like a more important game. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yep.
They're looking at this as an interleague game, and they're going, look, we want to put Chicago made a trade here and there to be like, hey, maybe we're going to compete for a wild card spot. Maybe we're going to, and they're like, look, the Chicago series, we can not only win that game, but then throw a loss onto the Cubs, and that looks more important. Just like if the Rangers, for some reason, coming up in the Boston series, looked at it and they go, hey, Houston's after that. And that Houston 3-game series is so important for a trade deadline, for everything. Your cough button didn't work.
Oh,
you hit the wrong button. But
I turned it off.
Turn the mic off. Oh, dear.
Oh, no.
But anyways, I look at this too. Now, I go to that. Offense. Figure it out, dude. You got to score 8 today. 15 runs per 3-game series. However you get there. And I would hate, like, if you score 12 in one game and then you score 2 in one, you did hit 15. But I would look at it and I would go, guys, you got to score. Last year you averaged 5.46. If you're going to make the playoffs, if you have any chance, you got to score 5 runs a game. Which, to break it down easily, if you're playing a 3-game series, I need 15 runs in that series.
Yeah.
If you can't do it, we can't make the playoffs, and it doesn't matter what else happens.
And I'm glad that you're talking about that, because I also I heard what you were saying during crosstalk. I also like the Rangers moves that they were making, but even Evan Grant was like, it really felt like a bat was the primary focus going into this trade deadline. So I appreciate the bullpen additions. I really, really do. But I was disappointed, and I know the prices were high, that they didn't see a bat that was achievable out there.
I think they feel like this. I feel like this too. Adding Carson Kelly, I like. Carson Kelly might become, not this year, and he's a free agent. If Jonah Heim keeps hitting the way he's hitting and Carson Kelly actually does pretty good, maybe you adjust and Jonah Heim's your backup catcher next year and Carson Kelly's your more 60% catcher. I do think there's a strong possibility that Carson Kelly and Jonah Heim become 50-50 catchers next year.
Interesting.
Because Jonah Heim, I have to go look it up. I think his OPS is like 680, or it might be.
He's 100 points lower than Carson.
Yeah,
Kelly
it might be like
year.
630.
Wow.
Like it's not close. So Carson Kelly, now he has to learn the pitching staff. He has to learn game plans. Like, it's a lot when you get traded in midseason. It would be almost like a quarterback getting traded in week 5 of a season, and you've never played for that coach, and you're like, all right, so I need to learn all of our plays. I need to, to compare it to football, a catcher getting traded midseason, it can become tough. Maybe not as tough as a quarterback getting traded, but it can become tough in everything that you have to learn in a short period of time.
Mike, whenever something like that happens and you are the guy in that position already, and now they just traded for a guy that plays your position, what goes through your mind whenever that happens?
Hopefully a competitive factor of screw you guys, because they also just drafted a college catcher.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
let's be
too.
honest here. Jonah Heim's future as a Texas Ranger for 5+ years is not for sure. It's tough. To draft somebody 30th overall does not mean they're going to be a major leaguer in 2 to 3 years. Look, we just released Davis Wenzel, DFA'd him. Davis Wenzel was a Big 12 player of the year. Everybody thought when you drafted him and gave him millions of dollars that he was going to help out the Texas Rangers by 2024. His development didn't happen. He doesn't look like he's going to be a big league player. So that can happen also with Moore, the catcher that you drafted out of Stanford. That can happen. But, I mean, they're looking at catcher as, look, the future is not bright there with Jonah Heim for the next 5 to 6 years. So hopefully Jonah Heim sees us as, so you just traded for Carson Kelly. You just drafted a catcher. I need to pick it up.
Yeah.
If I'm going to be an everyday catcher, if somebody's going to offer me a 4-year, $48 million contract when I become a free agent or something, I have to be better. So to me, I look at it as I need to be better because the Rangers are starting to make plans for me maybe not to be the guy who's catching 75% of the games. So now I get to, because I want to get to this Andrew Chafin, who you traded for.
Yeah.
Max Scherzer talked about how he's dealing with kind of soreness and pain and fatigue and stuff. So, look,
he
at
needs
40
an
years,
extra day. He said, I need an extra day.
At 40 years old, when he was talking about how he was pitching yesterday and all of the checks he has to go through after every pitch he throws, he's just 40 years old, and this is challenging. This can't be too fun for him to be pitching where every pitch he has to recheck his body and be like, can I do this again? Yeah. And after 4 innings, he's like, I can't do this. I can't do this anymore the rest of today.
He's finding out.
And so now I get to Andrew Chafin. So if you want to go to YouTube and find a fun little clip, his second year, this is before he has the long hair, the eastbound and down look.
Yes.
He lived in a trailer park his second year in the major leagues because he's just like, I don't like the city life. I lived in a really nice apartment with, nice furniture and really close to Chase Field in downtown Phoenix, Arizona. He's like, I didn't like it, so I went and bought a trailer, and I lived in a trailer park my second year, and I like this a lot better. So, and he's like, here's my garage area for my deal. Here's my bow and arrow that I go fish hunting with.
There we go.
So he likes bow fishing. He had a boat. He called it Baby Boat because he has a bigger boat at home. So this was just a baby boat, so he could go take his trailer or his truck and then take his boat with him and go bow fishing if he felt like it on an off day or in the morning or something. This is an interesting character. He's a good pitcher, don't get me wrong. This was a great pickup for a left-handed reliever late in games. Hopefully, the Rangers can hit. And hopefully they have a lead after 6 innings against the Houston Astros here coming up. And hopefully we see Andrew Chafin come in and face Yordan Alvarez and dominate Yordan Alvarez, or Kyle Tucker's healthy and he dominates Kyle Tucker, because he can be a difference maker. He can't be a difference maker if you're going to get 1 run and 4 hits, because then you have to have a 0 ERA as a team to win.
Yeah, yesterday was tough for a whole lot of different reasons.
And you're 1-4 on this trip.
Yeah,
you got to win today. You're facing a rookie. They're putting a dude who's debuting. He's a nice prospect. Score 8.
I'm with you. We're the KNC Masterpiece right here on 105 through the Fan. We're live from Oxnard for Dallas Cowboys training camp. Yet next, we will talk with Texas Rangers manager Bruce Bochy right here on 105 through the Fan.
Uber Eats has Lola V products? I gotta remember that.
Well, they say in order to remember something, you have to forget something else. Okay, now that is a very cute haircut. That's like a little shag. I've never seen it before.
Well, of course you have. It's the Rachel.
Oh, is that your name?
No, like your name.
No, I'm Jen. My name's Jen.
Right, but I just mean this is your haircut.
But that's hair on your head.
I'm not saying this is your hair.
Okay, freaking me out a little bit.
Do you think it's true that you've got to forget something else to remember that Uber Eats has groceries?
No, that's absurd. Hey, remember when you used to be a pepper lady? Pepper lady?
Wasn't it Cinnamon Sisters?
Basil babes.
Saffron Squad?
Nutmeg maidens?
Paprika?
No,
Nutmeg Maidens?
I just said that. Was it Spice Girls?
Doesn't sound right.
Was it Saffron Squad?
Can the trade deadline be for y'all, the front office, for the players?
Well, I'll say this. I mean, players, I know, think about it, but I thought our guys did a great job not talking about it. So I'm sure for some guys it's more stressful than others, especially younger players when you pick up somebody like we did yesterday. They know it's going to affect somebody on the staff in that bullpen. So, you know, I can say that I've had my moments as a player, whether spring training, whatever, where it is stressful. You know, it puts added pressure on you. But some guys are just able to, you know, handle it better, especially the veterans like David Robertson. They know it's part of the game. They move on. They can't control it, as we say. I think for the front office, it's a lot of work. Those guys are grinding. You know, the past couple of weeks, you know, talking to CY every day, and I know they were having meetings and seeing what they could do, you know, to help the club, what would make sense. So I'm sure it's stressful on their end too. It's you know, it's an exciting time for baseball. We get it, but at the same time, you know, it does affect a lot of people.
So, Boch, I was watching this deal on Andrew Chafin, the lefty you just got, and he likes going fishing with his bow and arrow. I know you like fishing. Have you ever gone bow fishing?
I had played around with it, you know, down in Florida. We would go out, and some guys would even, some guys, you know, my friends, you know, they do the alligator thing. But that's in my younger days. I do bow hunt, but I haven't bow fish, you know, on the serious side ever. But we've gone out there and had fun with it. In Florida, you have these, they call mullet, and there's big schools of them. So we would either gig them or get them with a bow. It's a lot of fun, and you lose a lot of arrows. You know, I didn't have the string attached to it. So, but yeah, he's quite the character. I just spent, you know, I don't know, 20 minutes with him, and you know, he's a free spirit. You're gonna love him.
Hey, man, you said that about alligators, Boch. I just assumed that you always had like a tame alligator that you had as a pet hanging around. Is that a possibility that you always were just hanging out with a gator somewhere?
No, I can't say I ever had one of those as a pet. My sister, she lived right on the intercoastal waterway. It's called the Indian River. It runs parallel to the ocean down in Florida. And there were a lot of gators at her place, so I try to keep them clean for her. You know, because she'd get nervous once they got to a certain size.
That makes sense.
The pets, you know, the pets disappear, and so anyway, it was up to me to keep it clean.
Well, that's awesome. What's it like to get Josh Young's energy and positivity, his personality back in that clubhouse?
Oh, it's great, man. We missed him. Just great to have him in the clubhouse, in the dugout. also out there playing. I love the cuts that he took. That's what I enjoyed watching last night. I mean, he gets after it. He looks to do damage, and so that's all you want. You want your guys getting their swings in, and hey, they're going to swing and miss and things like that. Occasionally, I think we get. I hate to use the word passive, but maybe overthinking it a little bit. We don't get our swings in, and sometimes a player like Josh, that gets contagious, especially when you have Josh and Corey and Marcus, guys that get after it when they swing. And, I mean, last night obviously was disappointing. Got one run early, and then they just got quiet with the bats. And, Lynn's done that with a lot of teams. But at the same time, I thought we'd have better at-bats than what we had last night.
Now you get Josh Young back, and at almost the same time, Chris Young says that Evan Carter will be out for the rest of the regular season. How tough is that in terms of for your lineup, but also for the person, Evan Carter, like mentally to have that kind of setback happen?
Yeah, it's just really bad news. This kid's, this is a big, important time in his career, where he's getting the reps on the major league side for him and for us. Trying to get the left-handed pitching at bats when he hasn't seen a lot of them. We got to still answer that question now. But just for his development, it was, I thought, big for him to have bats this year, because he's only going to get better at his age, and so for him to pretty much miss a year. And we haven't lost complete hope on him not coming back, but it's doubtful. If we're being honest, but still, I guess there's a long shot. There's a possibility, but the kid, he really needed, I think, the reps out there this year.
So, Boch, today in St. Louis, it's supposed to get close to 100 degrees, high humidity. Ron Washington, Johnny Oates, managers used to have to deal with that here in Texas. How much do you have to really watch Andrew Heaney today because of the weather?
Well, you have to watch him. It's going to be extremely hot out there. Some of the, the hottest days that I ever had playing was here in St. Louis, and that's back when they had the turf at the old stadium, which was right next door to this one. And it's going to be smoking out there. Last night we got lucky. It was just a beautiful night, cool night, but tonight they will be dealing with extreme heat, and so we'll keep an eye on them, all of them. But you know what? Hey, baseball really is made to be played in hot weather. Is what you do in the summer. So these guys will be fine. They'll be fine. But the pitchers, you really got to watch. When they pitch, just give you an example. Like Scherzer, he had 7 hats, ready, to change every inning. Unfortunately, we did not get to use all 7, but he had 7 jerseys. So those guys are changing every inning.
How long has that been the case? Because I admit, when Evaldi said that a couple of days ago as well, I had no idea that the changing took place that much. Has that always been the case, maybe especially for pitchers in terms of like rotating out your uniform so much in game?
Oh, man, I can't tell you. It's a good question when it started, but no, when I was playing, and they had maybe another jersey, but no, not 7. I don't think they had 7 jerseys for anybody. But I'll look into it on some of the pitchers. I think Nolan Ryan would be a good one to ask that question. So even CY, I'll ask him what he did. Because when they come back, they're soaking wet, and really, the position players are too. It's hot just sitting in the dugout, so I know how hot it is out on the field.
Well, I know we're asking a lot of heat-related questions, but Boch, I remember getting to work with Pudge, and Pudge Rodriguez would say at the old ballpark, especially during day games, they would have an IV behind the dugout.
Wow.
When he knew he wasn't batting in an inning, they might give him 5 minutes of an IV to try to stay hydrated at the ballpark in Arlington. Was that the case ever in other places that you were at where you'd have to have during day games, maybe in Atlanta or somewhere, where guys had to get hooked up to an IV if they knew they weren't batting during a day game in an inning?
Yeah, there were times when they got hooked up. I still remember playing in Monterrey, Mexico back in '96. Caminetti, we were playing the Mets, and we had to hook him up with IV. I couldn't even put him in the lineup because he had food poisoning. And anyway, he hooked up with an IV. Right before I took the lineup cards, he came down and said, I'm good to go. And every inning, they were hooking him up with IV. After, I think, the second at bat or third at bat, we had to take him out, though. But these guys will be hydrated. Our conditioning guys, they did a great job. They're already made. The hydration drinks, they can go down below the dugout. There's a fan going. There's air conditioning there, so they can get some relief. It's so much better today than like when Pudge played in that ballpark. It's still incredible what he did. I mean, for him to go out there and catch as many games as he did, but I think it's something you get used to. It's a mindset, and you just got to put it out of your mind and go out there and play the game.
Well, but Boch, last year you had told us, I'd asked you, hey, everybody keeps saying there's a lot of baseball left, and I said, hey, when's there not a lot of baseball left? And you said September. Right now, with the way things are with this team, is there a little more sense of urgency considering what's ahead of you? And is there still a lot of baseball left, or does it September again?
Well, yeah. What I meant, if you're in at September, is where you really start watching things, and that sense of urgency. But no, there is now. I mean, we're behind right now. We got to win games, and we can't control what's going to happen with the other team. So, they could run off a winning streak. We don't know. So, it's just critical that we win games, and we've got the first one here. We got a chance to take the series. I think today's it's a big game. And I'll say this again on this sense of urgency thing. I think every game should be played like that. When you come out, that's what we do. We do all we can to win every game, and these guys do. Believe me, I know. You look at a game like we had last night, you think, gosh, don't they know this is important? But when you get a guy out there that's tough, I mean, Len, he works both sides, east-west, as they say now, or north-south. I mean, that ball's cutting or running or sinking, and he would pitch on the top rail. And, we just had our hands full with the guy that pitched a really good ball game.
Last thing I got for you, Scherzer said he's looking at it where maybe he needs an extra day. Do you anticipate him getting those extra days of rest, especially since y'all have the next 2 Thursdays off between starts?
Yeah, we normally honor, the extra day, give them the extra day, the 5-day rest. So that's what Mike and I are talking about. We have, a couple adjustments we have to make with this rotation with John Gray being out, Michael behind. So, we have some options. Could even use an opener, things like that. But CY, myself, and Mike, we'll talk about it and see what we do after the day off. But a guy with Scherzer, we're going to do. And same with Nate. We're going to do all we can to give them the extra day.
Thank you very much, good sir, and good luck taking that series today.
Thanks. Yeah, it'll be a good one to get as we head home. So, we'll do all we can to get this one. Thanks.
There you go. Go get Rangers.
There you go, Bruce Bochy.
Go
right
get
here
Rangers.
On 105.3 The Fan.
We kind of did. We got two guys.
Real quick. Remember, if bold flavor is something that you're after, grab a bottle or 10 of the original Louisiana brand hot sauce, the official hot sauce of the Texas Rangers. The original Louisiana brand hot sauce flavor favors the bold.
Kansas City got a Ranger. They're the only team that listened to you.
Yeah, and then the Rangers, obviously.
Yeah, the Rangers went and got a Tiger. and then another tiger, which was weird. Couldn't they just made that deal in one deal?
Dude, that is the exact same thing that I thought, Mike.
All the time.
They call up, hey, we want Carson Kelly. And then a day later, like, hey, how about Andrew Schaefer?
Yesterday you were talking about that guy a little bit. Maybe we're okay with it.
I'm with you on that. All right, Mike is off to go do TV. We'll catch up with you tomorrow, sir.
Okay.
There you go, Mike Bassick. He will be back tomorrow. Coming up next, though, we will bring our Dallas Cowboys insider Mickey Spagnola into the tent live from Oxnard on 105.
Uber Eats has Lola V products? I gotta remember that.
Well, you know, they say in order to remember something, you have to forget something else. Okay, now that is a very cute haircut. That's like a little shag. I've never seen it before. Well, I mean, of course you have. It's the Rachel. Oh, is that your name? No, I mean like your name. No, I'm Jen. My name's Jen.
Right, but I just mean like this is your haircut.
But that's hair on your head.
I'm not saying this is your hair.
Okay, freaking me out a little bit.
Hiley Mazda of Arlington and her studios. It's the KNC Masterpiece on 105.3 The Fan.
KNC Masterpiece right here on 105.3 The Fan. We're live at Dallas Cowboys training camp, and right now, brought to you by Ford and the North Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas. We bring to you our Dallas Cowboys insider, Mickey Spagnola. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, fellas. Are you guys cold? Everything's closed in here.
Oh, no, we were talking to Bochy, and it was a little quiet, and somebody was talking behind us, so I just pulled this shut so I could hear him.
They pulled the walls.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we had to pull the walls.
I mean, I'm fine if they're open or not. I'm more excited about this tent than Mike McCarthy is about in-game interviews.
What's that supposed to mean?
Okay,
That was great. What a great
you heard
answer.
yesterday when he was like, I mean, look, I'm not surprised by it when they were like, hey, how do you feel about that? And I like that he was very matter-of-fact in terms of, this makes sense in terms of access without being like, I mean,
I just can't wait.
Yeah, obviously, he doesn't want to do them. Like, I'm assuming most coaches don't want to do that.
I mean, he would prefer not to do this.
I could see that, yeah.
He just wants to coach
he
football.
definitely doesn't want to do the in-game interviews.
He just wants to coach some football, man.
No, I get
So
it.
I see it could either be the head coach or the coordinator. But the coordinator would have to be on the sideline.
True. I really liked his answer, and I was like, oh, yeah.
Schottenheimer's not on the sideline, is he? He's up in the booth, right?
I believe so. Now, Zim probably on the side. Well, on the sideline.
Okay, all right.
I
know there were some times where I've seen him in the booth, like in Cincinnati, I believe. But I'm very interested to see that because I was looking for Zim yesterday during practice. Maybe I just didn't see him, and then I was like, maybe he's up in the thing up there trying to get started there.
No, he's out there.
But I was like, oh man, they're calling it. It was fun. Yesterday was a fun practice.
Yes,
Mickey.
it was good. Well, it was football.
Yeah.
At least 3/4 football.
Yeah.
They're not tackling, but at least you get an idea of what's going on, who's blocking. It gives the offensive lineman a chance, right? Because when you don't have pads on, what can you do? I thought it was a pretty good first day for Tyler Guyton.
Oh, yeah.
Started off on the second team when they were in team, and then before it was over, he's on the first team.
So
consistently, yeah.
We brought that up. I get it. You have to be prepared for all contingencies. Every time Guyton wasn't with the ones, I was like, "Come on, like you know what I want to, what I want to see. Come on,
give me the goods."
Yeah, I understand they have a long time to practice and figure things out, but every time they would swap it out, I was like, "No, this is not what."
Well, that's because you want to see, you want to judge, right?
Yes,
I don't want to see him judged against Darrell Johnson or nothing against the guy, but when and I thought that it was good to make sure you don't destroy his confidence right away. So when they were in the one-on-one pass rush drills, they had him on the other side. Micah Parsons was on where I was to the right, and so he was going up against Chuma, which. Bad matchup.
Sure.
Well, and then I saw Guyton in team with
and then in
Micah
team,
a few times.
They put him there.
And
they didn't make him go up against Micah right away.
There were about 3 occasions that they got together.
Yeah.
Maybe 4, and I think Guyton won all of them.
He rode him to the outside.
But the one thing I added, though, was that Micah didn't do any moves.
Right.
He just basically straight rushed and then got kind of pushed out. But he didn't do anything, he didn't slap. He just kind of. So I thought it was really nice to see Guyton get his footwork under him and push him the way he was supposed to.
The other thing I noticed with him, and my first concern for him when I saw some of his Oklahoma stuff was his footwork. Is his footwork fast enough? I thought it was better.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I noticed when it wasn't. His wingspan is so wide that he can take up space and run the guy to the outside.
Yeah, and he's strong.
So that was a good sign. I thought the other good sign is I saw Mozzie engaged. I saw him take up a double team on one play, hold his ground, and slide off and could have made the tackle if they were tackling, but he got in the way of the running back. That's what they need him to do. He doesn't need to be a pass rusher. He doesn't need to be a guy penetrating. Just hold your ground. Let the linebackers do their job.
Yeah. Did you think he was better in one-on-ones or the team
In the
drills?
team.
Okay.
He's not going to be a great one-on-one guy because
yeah.
he's not going to be I don't need him to rush the quarterback, right? I need him to make sure that somebody doesn't come out and run for 270 yards.
We talked about this earlier in the show, and we definitely talked about it yesterday during practice. Thought this was the best practice so far for Trey Lance.
Yes. Yeah, we just got done talking about him on our podcast too. It was a good practice. He was decisive. He was reading things, and we have to remember he just hasn't played much football.
Yeah,
he didn't play any last year.
Yeah,
right. Whatever he got in, running the practice squad or the scout team. I mean, but other than that, I mean, he hasn't played. And quarterback, you got to be out there and see it. And I don't know if you guys play pickup or whatever, and you go out and try to play quarterback, and it's like, oh, this looks like a busy intersection here.
Yes.
And you can't see everything fast enough.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, not only did I not have an arm to play quarterback, I was too short.
Oh, well, I mean, there was no offensive line in the pickup stuff. So.
Does Bryce Young give you hope? You see that and you're like, hold on.
Mickey's like, you know what? It's a revival time.
Well, there was slow in there also, so it was a bad combination.
One of the things you kind of talked about, too, let the linebackers do their work. I thought it was really fun to watch that trio of Kendricks and Clark and Micah when they were out on the field together, because there was a lot of chase. That's a lot of speed and size on that group.
No, absolutely. And I think you got a feel for how much Mike Zimmer would like Micah Parsons to play linebacker.
Yes.
And even in a couple of times in the change-up defenses, when he wasn't rushing, he was moving around on the nickel. And yes, that's what he needs to do. That's what he did at Penn State, right? Don't put him on the line of scrimmage and let him get neutralized by a double team or running right at him. And he doesn't have the prototype length to play defensive end every snap. Doesn't have exceptionally large arms, or he's not one of these kind of tall guys. And so he's got to use his speed there to win, but if they get physical with him, he gets neutralized. So, but at linebacker, it's harder to do that. You can't double team the linebacker.
Especially when he has a shield in front of him and a defensive end.
Yes. Mozzie, do your job.
Yes.
That's why he's a big proponent of Mozzie. Keep these dudes off of me.
Now, the other day, ESPN put out this list of what they called underrated prospects, and kind of the qualifiers to fit that were came into the NFL between 2021 and 2023, third round or later, and have 500 or fewer snaps. So there's a lot of qualifiers on there, but the two people that popped up on the list, Brock Hoffman and Overshown, were both top 20 across the NFL. And I'm curious what you think about those two as prospects, because it feels like last year we were all hyped over the moon about Overshown, and then obviously, unfortunately, he got hurt.
And for good reason.
Yeah.
I thought he showed up really early. I thought they had a good idea of how they wanted to use him, especially on the nickel as one of the linebackers who can drop into coverage, had the speed to do that. I mean, he has no snaps. Right?
Yes, exactly.
And you see him out there, and he's pretty rangy. So, I think they have high hopes for him again on the change-up defenses. And Brock Hoffman, I always thought that, even though they had this idea with the BB draft and everything, that Hoffman wasn't going to just roll over and give the position up. And so far, I think he's played well. I thought he played well in the few times he got an opportunity last year.
And they like him. They really like him.
And if nothing else, okay, you do need a backup center, one of those two guys.
Yeah.
And if you noticed at times, they had BB working as a guard, too, because if you end up being the backup, then you got to be able to do two things, right? They're doing that with Awesome Richards also, guard and tackle, because when they were playing Guyton on the first team, Richards was coming in second team left tackle.
Okay.
And that's what he was at North Carolina, I believe it was. So, those guys have to be versatile, but I like the observation on Brock Hoffman because I think he's good. And you just can't have a first-round pick at every place on the offensive line. At some place, you got to save money and have some young guy kind of develop. So I thought so far so good with him at center.
How much do you guys like, and Corey, I want to get you in on this as well, when a Cowboys player kind of knows or goes out of their way to learn their Cowboys history? Because I was listening to Marshawn Nealand. He was doing an interview after practice was over, and they talked about getting number 94. And he was like, oh, man, yeah, I've been going back and reading and watching, and that is a high bar to stand up to in terms of DeMarcus Ware. And I don't know.
And Charles Haley.
Yeah, I liked that he was like doing the research. I know that doesn't necessarily mean like, you're going to be better as a player, but what do y'all think about people who are like, I'm going to go back and learn about these other greats?
Well, I heard one guy couldn't former quarterbacks, and he had Tony Romo.
Oh.
That was it.
Well, that was all he. Well, hey, look, it happens sometimes.
But
sometimes they grow up.
We forget they're really young.
Yes,
and a lot of
Charles
times,
Haley, you might
maybe
say,
they grew up with another team as their team.
And what you find out if you're ever around like high school kids, they're just in their own world.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they ain't looking at the Cowboys or maybe college.
Yeah,
but they're in their own world. But yeah, this one was. I was on, okay, and then they tried to give him some clues, and he still couldn't get it.
Oh, no.
Troy, yeah.
Palomalu.
But no, you're right. you want guys to kind of know the history of the team.
And the game, you know, just a little
game.
bit.
Yeah.
And plus, it just feels like, I realize the game has changed a whole lot, even from Ware, but especially from Haley, but it feels like it's not the worst thing in the world is to be like, I'm going to go watch some players who are exceedingly successful. I don't care how much the game's changed. There's probably still something you could take away from
What
that.
did they do that made them successful? You know, and you can get those little nuggets from them to hear about those things. They don't have to, because, Kevin, I can definitely have a dude that just wakes up, eats some meat, goes out there and hits somebody, and then goes back home, eats more meat, and goes to bed. I'm perfectly okay with that.
That guy's on Harbaugh's team, I'm guessing.
I'm trying to remember who it was, and it might have been Nealand. He knew some of the guys that had played defensive end, and then somebody told him, well, you know, your coach played. He was pretty good. He was talking about Greg Ellis, right? And he goes, oh, I'm going to have to look that up.
Yeah, he mentioned that too.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm going to go have to look that up. And it's like, all right. And, yeah. And then who was the other? When Greg showed up, it was C.J. Goodwin. He said, yeah, one guy came up to me and said, oh, I kind of remember you, you know, just like that. And I was trying to think who was old enough to have remembered. and so I went up to CJ. I said, was that you? And he goes, yeah, but I had to go figure it out because I just kind of remember him playing in the league,
this
right?
Guy from somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
I mean,
I've heard that name before.
But I'm guessing. I don't know that Greg played past maybe 2007, 2008. Right. He started in 98. So, but he had a long career. But yeah, they were surprised. Oh, this guy was pretty good.
Appreciate the insight as always. And now, since we started padded practice, I'm sure we'll get another one today and tomorrow and the next day.
Every
and the day
day
after that. It's just nothing but padded
all
practices.
padded practices.
I'm thinking there's a mock game in there somewhere.
There's a mock game on Thursday, I do believe. So
come on, we can't work them so hard.
Yeah, it's too much.
What are you doing?
It's too much. Thank you very much, sir. We'll catch up with you again tomorrow.
See ya.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Mickey Spagnola from DallasCowboys.com. Coming up next, it's time for our new Olympic segment, which will continue to change names. Those meddling kids. Next, right here on the...
Do you think it's true that you've got to forget something else to remember that Uber Eats has groceries?
No, that's absurd. Hey, remember when you used to be a, what was it, Pepper Lady? Pepper Lady?
Wasn't it Cinnamon Sisters?
Basil Babes.
Saffron Squad?
Nutmeg Maidens?
Paprika?
No.
Nutmeg Maidens?
I just said that. Was it Spice Girls?
Doesn't sound right.
Was it Saffron Squad?
This segment of the KNC Masterpiece is brought to you by Cars for Kids. Donate today at KarsForKids.org and the personal injury lawyers Frankel and Frankel. If you've been injured in a car or truck wreck, call Frankel first 214 or 817-333-3333. With Frankel and Frankel, there is never an out-of-pocket cost. They only get paid when you win. Frankel and Frankel, the go-to car and truck wreck attorneys in Dallas.
There you go, Jordan Chimes.
Couldn't have done that routine any better.
100%, Sam. Every time she's gotten on a piece of equipment over the last 3 months, she has gotten better. We throw around gamer all the time. She's a gamer.
KNC Masterpiece back here on 105.3 The Fan. It's time for some Olympic talk. Those meddling kids is the name of our new segment. But first, Corey, do you have Rangers news at the Corey News Desk?
Would you like me to read the entire lineup, Kevin, or just... All right.
Give me the whole lineup.
All right, Josh Smith is leading off again. Corey Seager will be DHing, it looks like, in the 2-hole, and then Simeon in the 3-hole at second base. Wyatt Langford still hitting 4. Garcia Lowe, Josh Young, Carson Kelly is going to be catching today, and then Jankowski will be out there in center field. So, yeah, thank you very much, Lucy. Always appreciate that with Andrew Heaney on the mound. You can hear that right here on 105.3 The Fan. So Kelly's opportunity today, man, he goes out there and puts on a show with the bat. It could be very interesting to see how we turn things around here for the rest of the year.
Fantastic information right there. Now we move into Olympic talk, and y'all told me about it like while it was happening yesterday, because I know a lot of people watch things in prime time, tape delayed, but a lot of these events are going down like while our show is happening. I went back and watched the ending of the women's rugby 7, and it was freaking incredible. So they're down. I believe it was 12-7 they're down. Let's go to cut number 4 right here and essentially view this, Corey, as like the Tony Dorsett breakaway run.
Alona Ma. Ramsey. Cedric. Spiff Cedric's away. Cedric up over the 50, the 40. She's going to take it all the way. Cedric for the USA.
And I am so beside myself right now.
You can hear her in the background, too, be like, oh, my God, they're going to score. But, like, you probably have to, like, I got to contain it for just 1 second.
Oh, like Mike whenever they get the walk-off and everything.
But, Corey, that only tied the score, 12-12. You still needed the conversion kick. Let's go to cut number 5.
This is going to be the easier kick right down the middle.
There it is.
Oh
there it is. Cedric with the conversion, and Team USA make history in Paris.
I do love listening to the announcers that are from the sport or whatever and very invested this way, because yesterday during men's volleyball, they're in match 5, Kevin, and it's a best of, it's first 1 to 3 in that instance, and they're in match 5, and something happens, and he's like, don't worry about it, move on to the next one. And you're just like, okay, like they are rooting for it. They're feeling it like they're part of the team.
Now, we played a highlight from the gymnastics world. By the way, first ever Rugby 7 medal for the women for the United States.
Congratulations to us.
That's awesome. By the way, do you know what happened after that?
No.
Michelle Kang, who is the owner of the NWSL's Washington Spirit, she donated $4 million to USA Rugby.
Nice.
Like, you just got your first medal. Here's a big, giant chunk of cash to go grow the sport. Yes, to go get rugby.
Yeah, go get rugby.
Correct. That is the good news.
Do you think rugby will ever take over here in the U.S.?
Look, it's the same thing with lacrosse. When it happens, I'll support it. But when we worked at the paper, we would get a call from a parent or a PR release every single week. You know that rugby or lacrosse are the fastest growing sports in the United States. And I was like, I hear you. I do. And, like, there's some great people who play those sports. But if it takes over, fantastic. I'm going to need to learn up on some of the rules.
It's kind of like the WNBA's push to become the MNBA. You know?
Okay. That's I don't know if it's going to go down like that, but I like it. All right. Do you want historic feats or some sad news?
Show me the feats, Kevin.
Okay. Good Lord. Oh, Corey's been spending that time on other websites.
No. You had set it up. I thought that was the joke you wanted,
all right.
Kevin.
What is more impressive? That as of yesterday, the United States won their 3,000th medal in all-time Olympic competition.
Where does it rank them? Do other countries have 3,000?
I kind of feel like that's got to be number one. But to be fair, I'm not sure.
We got our 3,000th medal yesterday.
Yes.
The same day to celebrate 7 years ago, Adrian Beltre hit his 3,000th hit.
Oh, dude.
I'm just saying it lines up with all the Texas athletes in the Olympics
Here's
right now.
your triple-pronged question then. Most impressive, Adrian Beltre, 3,000 hits. Oh, man. United States winning 3,000 medals in the Olympics. Or the medal ceremony for the table tennis mixed doubles. And I know you might think, hold on just a damn second.
Yes.
That feels like a big drop-off. What if I told you...
30 for 30.
This could be a spoiler alert if you're getting in on mixed doubles table tennis today. What if I told you the 3 medal winners teams were from China, South Korea, and North Korea, and they all posed for a selfie together?
Yeah. So is that politically a weird thing?
I mean, if I had to go back to North Korea, I do not know if I would want to be in that picture.
Gotcha.
But I mean, from a human standpoint, of course you would want to be in it.
Kind of pretty cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that is pretty awesome. And man, watching them play, I'm not lying about this. The conviction to hit that ball, that little tiny ball, as hard as you can, and knowing that it's coming back to you probably just as hard, is always wild to me. It's so much fun to watch.
Yeah, I'm
still going with the 3,000 medals for our country, Kevin. Like that's impressive.
On your face.
Adrian knows he never actually took that swing at you, so I'm still holding that against him.
That's why he's number one. Because the day he goes, have you got hit in the nuts yet? And I said, no. And I go, it's complicated. He goes, no, it's not. We can get it done right now. And then went and grabbed an actual bat. And I was like, oh,
I was so excited for that day.
Hey, that was the day that Baby Noah almost faded out of those pictures, Back to the Future style. You know, like you could just see him. He was Michael J. Fox fading away. All right. Let's go. This show's so dumb. Let's go from that to, all right, you want good news or bad news?
I mean, good.
All right.
Hopefully we don't get to the bad.
Simone Biles, we will. Simone Biles and the U.S. women's gymnastics team won gold yesterday and revealed the name of their team. It was F around and find out.
Dude.
To which she said all the good names were taken. I mean, that's a pretty good name. And they kick some ass. There's a third team gold medal in the last 4 Olympics. Now you'll move into the individual event finals, of which Simone Biles will be a huge presence in that as well. So let's go USA.
And they always have that meme to go back to of the guy on the drawing board. He's like, look, the more you F around, the more you're going to find out.
Agreed.
So that's good. Look, man, like I said, they looked like they were prepared for business. Like they went there with a purpose, and I appreciated that from them.
Now, you wanted to avoid it, but it was impossible. We're not good at 3-on-3 basketball. For the men, Team USA, their Olympic debut was against Serbia. They lost 22-14. So Jimmer Fredette and the 3 other people who nobody had ever heard of, then I can't remember their names offhand, they didn't get the job done. Remember, the women for the United States, they lost their 3-on-3 opener as well. So it's off to a tough start, Corey.
It feels like Jaylen Brown definitely could have been on that team.
Yes!
And led us to gold.
Or Caitlin Clark on the other one. Why couldn't we be like, you can be on this team?
That being said, with that, is that kind of if you're a Jaylen Brown type guy, are you like, no, I'm not playing on the 3-on-3 team. They didn't even ask me to be on the 5-man team. You know, or the full MNBA roster.
I would stop that. I would want an Olympic medal so much that I'd be like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, and dude, how awesome would it be? You're like Jaylen Brown. You're like, yeah, I can carry anybody to a championship. Jason Tatum, these 2 chumps I just played with. It doesn't matter who it is.
It's got to hurt his feelings a little bit that they were like, we're going to take Tatum and White, but not you.
And I do need to dive in a little more on 3-on-3 strategy because I know the court's a little different, and I feel like it's more of a shooter's game. But, man, if you can just fill it up at the basket, Jaylen Brown's filling it up at the rim all day long. So, and also, Kevin, I do want to point out, we did find out the field goal post maybe about 9 feet high. I touched that pretty easily the other day. So, Kevin, whenever Mike starts saying I can't dunk on a 9-foot goal.
You can dunk now.
Yeah,
all right.
Don't forget about that.
The U.S. men's soccer team reached the quarterfinals with a 3-0 victory yesterday. And then today, the U.S. men's basketball team will play South Sudan. Remember when they played in the exhibition or the lead-up to this? They were 45-point favorites, and they needed a LeBron bucket in the last 20 seconds to win by 1 point. That line has now dropped from 45 to 29.5. If I'm South Sudan, though, I'm still like, dang, man, that's a lot of freaking points.
Mm-hmm.
We lost by 1 point. And they're like,
we don't think you can do it again.
29.5. I believe that game will get going at 2 p.m. Central Time. So that was another Olympic note for you right there. Are you going to be in on watching these games? We're significantly better at 5-on-5 basketball than 3-on-3 basketball in the Olympics.
Yes, my oldest son requested that we FaceTime and watch it together. So that is
the whole time?
No, the men's team.
Oh, okay.
The M Olympic team.
Stop that.
So that's
Corey,
what he
you
is.
be quiet.
Thanks, Mike.
It really feels like he's still here.
It does. So that's that is the goal. Is he wants to watch that. He's very excited. He's never been excited about basketball. Mavs are in the freaking championship run, and he's like, I got stuff to do, Dad. And I was like, what? So this is, I guess, because it's the best players all meeting. I think that's where he's really excited about.
Can I tell you a quick story? Again, this is a possible spoiler alert about Adriana Ruano from Guatemala. The gymnast turned shooter won Guatemala's first Olympic gold medal on Wednesday. Ruano was training for the 2011 World Championships in gymnastics, a qualifier for the London Olympics. Felt pain in her back, had to switch it up, took up shooting. That's just not necessarily the two sports I'd be like, hey, if gymnastics doesn't work out, you should go shoot.
Yeah, well, you know what, Kevin?
But here we are.
There are multi-talented people out there.
There are.
Not everybody's just good at one thing.
That's a great point.
So let them do those things.
You are good at many, many things.
Like what?
Like just what you said.
Thanks, man.
Coming up next, it's time for Gridiron Gravy. The NFL is terrible in court cases. Plus, are you ready for a running back resurgence?
No.
Next on The Fan.
The fight for justice never ends. In tech.
Uber Eats has Lola V products? I gotta remember that.
Well, you know, they say in order to remember something, you have to forget something else. Okay, now that is a very cute haircut. That's like a little shag. I've never seen that before. Well, I mean, of course you have. It's the Rachel. Oh, is that your name? No, I mean like your name. No, I'm Jen. My name's Jen.
Right, but I just mean like this is your haircut.
But that's hair on your head.
I'm not saying this is your hair.
Okay, freaking me out a little bit.
pass is caught by Moore down the sideline, and nothing but green grass. He is gone, baby. Touchdown, DJ Moore on 3rd and 2, and he accentuates what's been a spectacular day.
KNC Masterpiece back here on 105.3 The Fan. We're in Oxnard, courtesy of Sagamore Spirit Rye Whiskey, Best Buy Windows and Siding, and Guardian Cap. So what say we go around the entire NFL and dip into some gridiron gravy?
Here we go.
Buttermilk biscuits.
Let's start with DJ Moore. I mean, I do miss that.
Somebody asked for it, so.
DJ Moore and the Bears reached a 4-year, $110 million extension that included $82.6 million guaranteed. So congratulations to him. Also, DJ Moore has managed to get the first 10 years of his career guaranteed money. So good for him for navigating that.
Yeah, that is impressive, man.
That feels like a great
He
goal.
had to be stuck in Carolina and Chicago for it, but hey, you know.
Fair. Now, on the money front, Matthew Stafford got an adjustment made to his contract that will now include a $23.5 million guaranteed salary this year, $12.5 million signing bonus, and $4 million guaranteed March roster bonus. So essentially think about it as a 1-year, $40 million deal.
Okay.
So that's what he's doing, and that pulls away any guarantees from 2025. So if this did end up being the last year for Stafford, it's not going to really give the finger to your cap.
Man, that is interesting that they're able to get these deals done during camp here. This is wild.
I didn't know you
that it's
could do
happening
that.
like that.
Right?
I'm sure that it's just, over time things happen.
All right. Do you want to...
I also do like that with Stafford, like the agreement on that.
Yeah.
Like you said, it doesn't screw over the team. It helps out the quarterback. It helps out other players. It's good.
And you still get $40 million.
Yeah.
The NFL should stop going to court.
Agreed.
Because they are bad at this. Not only the NFL, the NFLPA also bad at it. So here's what happened. Lloyd Howell is the executive director for the NFL Players Association. And he argued that they should be able to get out of their contract with Panini and go with Fanatics because Panini had lost so many people and they were able to dump the deal because this represented a change in control. And there's a clause in the contract, if there's a change in control, you can move. Well, the court said no. That is not what happened. There was no change in control, so you broke the contract illegally, and now you have to pay Panini $7 million. Now, clearly this is significantly better than what the NFL got for the Sunday ticket verdict, but still, the NFL and NFLPA, if it's not against John Gruden, they consistently lose.
I'm kind of... That $7 million, whenever you're in this situation, does that mostly go to the lawyer? Does the NFL ever actually pay it, is the first question.
I gotta think that Panini has, lawyers on retainer.
Okay.
And
Are you
so
just
the
kind of
money-
you're like, dude, we got extra $7 million in the pocket, or is it actually making up for something you lost? I don't know.
I mean, it's probably both, and also... we know a lot of people at Panini. Obviously, there's big changes coming to the card industry with Fanatics in the next couple of years. So Panini can hopefully use the money to, figure out some other potential business spots for them in the next few years. All right, let's go from that.
NFTs. Am I right?
They have been in the...
Someday, Kevin, your cards are going to be worthless because of all the NFTs.
You ready for the top... It could be. You ready for the top 30 through 21 players in the NFL?
Sure.
Will there be a Cowboy on this part of the list?
Guaranteed.
Oh, let's see. Number 30, Deebo Samuel, followed by Khalil Mack. Good for him for still being that high. He's been in the NFL for a minute. Brock Purdy, Nick Bosa, Mike Evans. Then you get to number 25, Jalen Ramsey, Dexter Lawrence, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Penei Sewell, and A.J. Brown, which means...
CeeDee Lamb's above A.J. Brown.
CeeDee Lamb, Micah, and Dak are all in the top 20.
Wow.
Or something has gone shockingly amiss with this rating system.
Yeah, it's interesting to see all those 49ers that low on there.
You think Deebo should be higher?
Maybe even Bosa a little bit higher, but that's he's down, 4 spots from 23 last year?
He's down 23 spots, I believe.
Okay, I was reading that wrong. So that is, yeah, man, I don't know. I feel like maybe yeah, I'm very interested to see where they put these Cowboys because Dak does have the national respect also.
Yes.
He does. He finished second in MVP voting last year. And CeeDee Lamb, I think we can all look at and say he's nominally better than A.J. Brown.
For sure.
And no Micah is very interesting so far.
That means you'll end up with 5 Cowboys in the top 100, I would assume. Zach Martin, Deron Bland, and then it looks like the Cowboys will have 3 of the top 20 players.
Voted by the players themselves.
Exactly.
So whenever whenever us fans out here start trashing a player, the rest of the league respects them for whatever reason.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I thought it was really cool that Deron Bland was that high. I have to admit, I know last season was ridiculous for him. I did not think he would get that high. And so when we got to a certain point on the list, I was like, oh, man, did they leave him out of the top 100? That doesn't feel right either. But there he was at 31. All right, let's go from that to running back resurgence.
All right, I like it.
I was debating where I wanted to go next. All right, I was reading this article on Bleacher Report, and they were kind of predicting what the NFL will look like in the next 5 years. And so the top 2 things clearly go together, and I wanted to see what you thought about this. Point number 1, running game resurgence. Point number 2, running backs and even fullbacks return to prominence. What do you think about the idea that the running back and fullback will return to prominence and we'll get a running back renaissance?
So the NBA really changed my mind on the game a little bit this year because of what the Celtics did to the Mavericks, right?
Okay.
And that is, they were like, no, we can still spread it out, and you can't stop us because you have a big that can't quite do some of the things that you want him to be able to stay in the paint and protect the paint, but we're going to have to force you to do things. And I think those kinds of things can be cyclical, and sometimes you have the one team that's just the right one. Kevin, with this, I think the running back and fullback might be a cyclical thing, but what might be interesting is to see some guys with new ideas on how to use those, considering the way that some of the other new ideas have been implemented with running quarterbacks and with some of the motion things that are going on and just the way that these route combinations are built. So I think that it is a possibility of that. Now, do the NFL owners look at it and go, they're that valuable, or we can put anybody in that place and it still be the thing? So that's the difference there. I think the running game still has an absolute feature in what the NFL is, especially whenever you start saying, well, if the best way to match up with an opponent is to be lighter and faster, kind of like the Cowboys were last year, and then you saw what happens when a team runs the ball against them.
One of the things that has been amazing to me for the longest time is the fact that the chain system has remained in place in the NFL. We have all of this high-tech technology, and they're like, no, we still got the chains. That's how you know where the first down is. Well, the NFL took another step away from that today. NFL executive Gary Brantley told the Associated Press that they're going to test Sony's Hawkeye technology during some preseason games. They did point out it probably wouldn't be ready for full implementation until next season, but this could be the last year in the NFL that you see them moving the chains and all of this and that before we move to a more technological-based ball placement system.
So, yeah, so instead of having the chains, they're just going to have a dude up there with a bow and arrow shooting the arrow down at where the field marker is?
No, not Hawkeye the Avenger.
Dang it.
The Hawkeye... Okay.
How cool would that be, though?
And wouldn't that have been, I don't know, maybe not the first segment, but maybe one of the first 2 segments is like, hey, Jeremy Renner is now going to be in charge of ball placement for the NFL. Like,
or maybe they're going with the Haley Steinfeld version.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe it's her.
Either way.
I'm in favor.
It's a big news story. Either way, if you're like, hey, they're taking an Avenger and pretending like that's real life and moving them in.
If they did something like that, Kevin, that would be they would be going, you know what, we're going full KNC. Where the NFL is like, we're going full. We found out they're a very successful show, very popular, so we're just going to go whatever they suggest we're doing.
I still remember Brandon when he was little. We were talking about home field advantage in baseball and how some of the parks are different. A lot of the parks are different, and what a good home field advantage would be in football. baseball, and he goes, I think pit of quicksand, and you only know where it is if you're the home team.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, my gosh. And so this reminds me of that suggestion.
Yeah, the quarter of the end zone, or the quarter of the 5-yard line. You got that quarter section right there as a pit. I like it.
But no, this is the Sony Hawkeye system, not Hawkeye the Marvel character.
We'll find out.
I'm very confident
We're gonna have to
about
wait.
this.
Obviously,
you know what? That's fine. If Haley Steinfeld or Jeremy Renner show up in an NFL game and they're like, nope, I got this. Ball goes right here. I will be the first to come on air and be like, I was wrong about that.
From the 972, no way. The NFL's in bed with big chains, so there's no way that they're going to be able to do this.
You know,
from the 940, not football without the chains, buddy.
You may okay. I'm not making the decision. I'm just telling you. I think it's going to happen. We're the KNC Masterpiece right here on 105.3 The Fan. You know what? Because of that, that is now the first question I want to ask to Dallas Cowboys defensive back coach and assistant head coach Al Harris. Would you be sad if the chains went away? We'll have him next live right here on the.
Do you think it's true that you've got to forget something else to remember that Uber Eats has groceries?
No, that's absurd. Hey, remember when you used to be a, what was it, Pepper Lady? Pepper Lady?
Wasn't it Cinnamon Sisters?
Basil Babes.
Saffron Squad?
Nutmeg Maidens?
Pre-curb?
No.
Nutmeg Maidens.
I just said that. Was it Spice Girls?
Doesn't sound right.
Was it Saffron Squad?
From our Hiley Mazda of Arlington and Hearst studios, thanks for turning it on and leaving it on. 105.3 The Fan.
KNC Masterpiece back here on 105.3 The Fan. We're live in Oxnard right now on the On Time Experts Hot Seat. Remember, On Time Experts, air conditioning and plumbing, same-day service. We bring to you Dallas Cowboys assistant head coach, DB coach Al Harris, who's already judged me in the commercial break. Good morning/afternoon, sir.
Hey, good morning, man. Thank you guys for having me.
Now,
thanks for joining us.
Let's get right into this important thing that just came up in the commercial break. You asked if we have kids, and I said I have a 20-year-old and a 2-year-old. That's a gap of 18 years, to which your response was...
Damn.
And then we got the pause of, well, hold on. How old is your oldest kid and how old is your youngest kid?
Okay, so I think 28, might be 27.
Okay.
All right, I got 19, 11, and 7.
So that, my friend, is a gap of 20 or 21 years, and mine is only 18.
Yeah.
So to which I will say to you, damn.
Yes. It's just the fact when you say 2.
I get it.
20, it's like, wow, okay. You had a good time to think about if you were going to do it again.
Yeah, we really did. At which point I told you that we called Noah. I called Noah our replacement child, and my wife was like, "No, don't do that."
Yeah, that's a fine.
We're not. Yeah, I got the letter in my locker. Yeah, so we're not doing that anymore.
Al, you have been kind of the unicorn guest for me.
He's so excited.
I am. I'm very excited. I remember a couple years ago watching you work with Trayvon on the sideline. Like, everybody's doing their stuff, and you're just over there throwing balls at him. And y'all are catching and going back and forth, and y'all already looked like y'all had built a really good relationship. And then the more I watched you, it was just like, this dude communicates so well with these players. Where is that communication? Where'd you learn that and grow that and harness that, and how do you apply that with these guys?
Well, my thing with just getting into the coaching profession, I said to myself that I would never do or say anything to a player that I wouldn't have done or said to me when I'm in their seat. I wasn't a hard coach, but there were just certain things as a player that, hey, look, I'm going to do this. You just got to ride with me, coach. So I understand those. Like, there's going to be little things like that. So when guys just know you understand what they're going through, it makes your job a whole lot easier.
And then that's got to be, that's a huge factor, too, is you played the game irritatingly a lot of times as a Cowboys fan growing up. I saw it too many times. But, like, you played that game, and I guess being able to see and know what they're going through and they know that you know has to be a big factor in that relationship building.
Yes, it is. And then when you got guys, you spoke of Trey, when he came in wanting to learn. I've coached a lot of good players, but I got to say, as a rookie, like, this guy came in wanting to learn every single word, like he was absorbing. You know what I mean? And he really made that come to life.
Must have really then crushed you last year whenever he got injured. Then.
Oh yeah, don't bring it up.
I'm sorry. I will not mention it ever again.
Definitely not. Do you want to switch gears to Jordan Lewis, or do you want to go somewhere else?
Well, I was kind of curious on the Zimmer front. We know what his goals are with the front seven. Does it change at all from what you guys are doing with Quinn with him in the secondary?
Well, no, because, both guys, he and Dan, they know their stuff. Just different philosophies. So us on the back end, coverage-wise, we may do a couple different things, but it's more just the philosophy of how they're handling it up front, I would say.
Okay, so whatever they're doing up front is going to set you guys up for success.
There you go. It's a marriage.
Yeah, it is.
It's a marriage.
We talked with Jordan Lewis yesterday, and I know it's early. It looks like he's getting back to his old self. One of the things he told us, though, was not having to rehab and how big of a mental kind of hurdle that takes off your plate. How big of a deal is that when you're like, I don't have to worry about that now?
Yes. Rehabbing sucks as a professional.
Yeah.
Yes. You know what I mean? Because you got to go to work, but then you also got to rehab. And if you're at the point to where you're only rehabbing and not being able to practice, you know what I mean, that puts guys in a dark space. So you got to constantly be in contact with them to just make sure, hey, bro, you good? You know how everything going, X, Y, and Z, because he's only doing his rehab.
Yeah.
So when you come in to JD's, as far as with Jordan, you come in, he doesn't have to rehab. All he has to worry about is ball. You know what I mean? That is awesome.
I have to imagine that's a huge
weight
lifted.
Huge weight lift off your shoulders when you just, all I got to worry about, hey, look, my movements, doing what I have to do to be successful on the field. Yes.
I know that the players will say, or maybe the company line is, we don't care. I thought it was really cool that Deron Bland ended up number 31 on the NFL players list of best players in the league. I know that's not necessarily your goal for the season, but I did think it was really cool to see the rest of the NFL kind of give him that recognition.
Yes. And he should have been higher.
Fair. Okay, fair.
Yes, he should have been higher. For a kid, man, well, he's a grown man, but to be in his second year and to do what he did, we may not see that in our lifetime.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes, we've never seen it before.
That's
so,
what I'm saying. We may not see that again. And, so a lot of people just sweep it under the rug. Hey, well, you're playing this quarterback or that quarterback. Man, I don't care what quarterback he's playing. If he's throwing that ball and you're able to get it as a defensive player and score, man, it's a great job. But I think it should have been. I think it should have been higher.
Okay, so speaking of that part of it, I was talking with a coworker of ours who's a Packers fan, and he was like, "That pick six against Seattle by Al Harris was really nice." Do you teach pick sixes? Like, how does that come about?
Well, our thing, from the first day I stepped on campus, I've been talking about turnovers. Dan came. Dan's about turnovers. Zim's about turnovers. So just the mentality meshes with the coordinators. But for us, man, I have a shot at all of the routes. I'm not just, playing for the deep ball. You know what I mean? I got a shot at all the routes. And then once I get the ball, it's a better odds of me scoring as a defensive back than it is as far as a running back, a tight end, somebody that's in the core. We're out on the edge. If I get the ball 9 times out of 10, a lot of times I just got to beat that wide out. Mm-hmm. And I got a clear path. So for us, man, if you throw the ball towards the sideline, it's a cardinal sin to allow the guy to catch the ball if the ball's going toward the sideline. And if I catch the ball, me as the defender, with the ball going toward the sideline, it's a cardinal sin not to score.
You got Green right in front of you.
That's exactly right.
I feel like aside from the quarterback, cornerbacks probably have to do the most studying because you got to go study multiple receivers for one. Yes. And then you also got to know that quarterback. And then you got to know if their run game's coming at you at some point. But knowing, hey, I don't know, Justin Jefferson likes to, do a dig on this and all these things, and how does his eyes match up with the quarterbacks? It feels like you guys are just constantly looking for little tiny details.
Yes, I think that's where we excel here in Dallas, because those are the things that we harp on. You know what I mean? A lot of guys will hear me say, I don't teach scheme. And to people who really don't know the position, they're going to be like, well, man, how's this guy coaching? He's not teaching scheme. Everybody runs cover 3. Everybody runs cover 4, cover 2, cover 1, quarter, half, whatever the case may be. But what am I doing within those coverages now? So, once I teach them where to line up, the communication, splits, and things like that, now the teaching doesn't stop. What am I teaching him now to get him to where I can get to the ball faster than you can? So those are the things that we harp on day in and day out.
That's got to be exciting too for guys like Scott and Carson. Getting their chances to start learning at that level.
I'm glad that you said that, because Scott last year, he was one of the most buzzed about players of camp, and not that the buzz is not still there, but now Carson's got it picked up as well.
Yeah, he's doing a great job. Los is doing a phenomenal job. He's another young guy that came in and just wanting the information. And when you get guys like that, you got to give it to them. Yeah, you definitely got to give it to them. hats off to Will McClay and the whole scouting department because he's a really, really good player. And the stats, the college stats wouldn't show, the ability, the potential is really there with this kid.
Yeah. Well, man, congratulations on the assistant head coach title, too, that goes along with this. Has that changed responsibilities? Do you kind of carry that a little differently?
Thank you. Yes, but yes, it carries more responsibility. My day-to-day is just a little more added responsibility. I'm still doing the same thing I would have done last year, the year before, as far as working with my guys, but just a little more meetings that I wouldn't have been a part of, and, just now it doesn't just go defense, you know what I mean? You're an extension. I consider myself an extension of Mike, so it's defense, it's offense, it's special teams. Wherever I'm needed, that's kind of where I just go and plug myself in.
Continuing to grow. I love the way my guys. I got to work with my guys. I just love hearing that.
And he gets
too.
to talk to media. I bet that's really exciting too.
Yeah, that's like the second best perk of this.
Always, it always is. Thank you very much,
very
man.
much. Corey's been so excited. We're all excited that you're here, and we appreciate you jumping on with us.
Hey, no worries, man. Appreciate you guys for having me.
Ladies and gentlemen, Al Harris right here on 105.3 The Fan. Coming up next, we'll get you ready for baseball because it's baseball time in Texas. We will talk with Matt Hicks next right here at your home of the Cowboys and the Rangers. 105.3 The Fan.
Uber Eats has Lola V products? I got to remember that.
Well, they say in order to remember something, you have to forget something else. Okay, now that is a very cute haircut. That's like a little shag. I've never seen it before.
Well, I mean, of course you have. It's the Rachel.
Oh, is that your name?
No, I mean, like, your name.
No, I'm Jen. My name's Jen.
Right, but I just mean, like, this is your haircut.
But that's hair on your head.
I'm not saying this is your hair.
Okay, freak me out a little bit.
first pitch, and then you'll get that 12:30 pregame right here on your home of the defending world champion Texas Rangers. They got their last game of the series against the St. Louis Cardinals. And in case you missed it, Carson Kelly is going to be in the lineup today. And when we talked with Bruce Bochy earlier, he talked about, hey, every game has a great deal of importance, but you have an opportunity today to go out and win the series. And that's the thing that they continue to want to do, is stack up series after series after series. He also told us, especially with the off days coming up, there's a good shot that Max Scherzer will get that extra day, which he said after yesterday he had more arm fatigue, that he probably needs that extra day between his starts. Right now, courtesy of Blue Nail Roofing, we bring to you the man who unquestionably is better than Jared Sandler. It is Matt Hicks. Howdy, sir.
Howdy. I guess that depends upon what you're talking about.
I mean, you're here. You're here, and he's not.
That I'm better than Jared Sandler at, but anyway.
You're here, and he's not. So that's how I've determined that you are better today.
Rap songs. There's lots of stuff, Matt.
Now, things can change so fast in Major League Baseball, and I know we should talk about the trades and the game yesterday, but it's Davis Wenzel getting sent away to the Reds for essentially nothing, like cash consideration. It's Jonathan Hernandez getting DFA'd. Those just like the last couple of days are big reminders of how fast your potential doesn't show up or goes away.
Yeah, and it's also a reminder that we're dealing with actual human beings. We're not, dealing with a lot of times, when people are talking about players on a baseball team, they talk about, oh, he's a nice piece, or, he'd be a serviceable piece. And we probably shouldn't be using the word piece. We're talking about real guys here and real lives that are changed, with a phone call.
We talked with Davis Wenzel in spring training. That was like one of our interviews. And so you can't help but sometimes just inherently root for these people. I know you're not supposed to, but I'm with you on that.
Yeah. I mean, you get to know people really well. In my long time in the minor leagues, we had much more contact with the players. We got to know them on a much deeper level. And, when they get traded away from the minor league level, you really feel it. I remember back, when I was working for Corpus Christi, the Astros AA, and the Astros traded away Ben Zobrist to Tampa Bay. We were actually up here in Missouri when that happened. And, not that I had gotten close to Ben, but I knew Ben pretty well that season, and his family was there to watch him play in Springfield. And to get that phone call and to say, hey, you're off to Durham, North Carolina, it's instantaneous. It happens right away. And so for people like Davis Wenzel, the time that I spent talking to him, just a great guy, Jonathan Hernandez as well. These are people that you get to know, and all of a sudden they're gone from their family, and it's just a part of the game.
Along those lines, though, today now, this is the team. Like, this is the group that you're with for the long haul. Do you feel like that should put some comfort on that group and they can start focusing back on, hey, we got to put some runs on the board now?
Yeah, I think that most of these guys have been focused on the day-to-day task at hand. It's just their DNA. It's the way that they're built. You may have had some guys on the periphery that were worried about things, approaching the trade deadline. But certainly now everybody can settle in, at least for now, the 26 guys that are in the clubhouse, and say, okay, this is it. We're going to war together, fellas. Let's go out and do this. And the fact that Josh Young has rejoined the team, got his first taste of action yesterday. He's back in the lineup again today. He may be young, and I mean, Y-O-U-N-G, young, but he is definitely one of the team leaders here. He brings so much energy to the ball club, and he's the kind of player that other players can rally around. So, it's good to know that this is it. I mean, and we might see, obviously, with the way pitching is handled these days, you're going to see guys still going up and down. So we're going to see more than just these 26. But there is a certain amount of, all right, this is who we are. Let's go get it.
Do you like the lineup switches? Because it felt like, we just got to the point, or the Rangers got to the point, I guess, where they were like, we got to do something to change this up because this offense, as is not working.
Yeah, it's shown itself working maybe just in little tiny spurts, but nothing at all like, the extended success that the offense had last year where, the team would go on a run and win, 9 out of 11, 9 out of 12, and average 7 to 8 runs per game. But this year's Rangers just haven't done that, right? So you got to do something. And like I said before, it makes a lot of sense to have Josh Smith hit leading off. I mean, he's your top on-base guy, and he's among the league leaders in on-base percentage. So that's the guy you want, batting more often than anyone else. He also has a little pop in his bat. Maybe not as much as Marcus Semien, but on any given at bat, Josh can, go out of the yard. So, I kind of like it. And Marcus Semien is a really good guy at driving in runs. He was last year. He has been this year, and he's been that way in the past. So it just seems to make more sense, with there being about 65 or 70 points difference in the on-base percentage between Smith and Semien, to have the guy with the higher OBP hitting leadoff.
And we get to see Carson Kelly in the lineup today as well.
Yep, he'll be catching and batting 8. Certainly an upgrade over what Andrew Kisner provided this year from an offensive standpoint. Word is, too, that Kelly will be an upgrade defensively as well. Some fairly solid numbers in Detroit this year, but even better for Kelly over the last 3 to 4 weeks. He's been swinging a pretty decent bat. So we'll see if he can add some energy to the bottom of the lineup.
Thank you very much, good sir. Always appreciate you jumping on and showing why you're better than Jared.
Thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate it.
There you go. Matt Hicks right here on 105.3 The Fan. Hopefully Jared knows that's all met with love. Coming up next, Rangers and Cardinals pregame starting in just a couple minutes. First pitch at 1:15. We've been the KNC Masterpiece. Remember, tomorrow we'll still be in Oxnard, but you'll get a full show.
With Jerry Jones.
Tune in. What?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, with Jerry, 10 to 2 right here on The Fan.